Gross.
That's it.
Files have officially been released, and we now know the truth. Now, people are paying a lot of money to Fanatics. We also have a see Todd, blame Todd situation. We got so much to talk about on today's episode of the Ungraded Truth podcast, coming up next.
Detective Comics set a record for 1.8 million. Nobody really cares.
Who are annoyed that people are asking them questions, is this book bad? That question didn't exist a year ago.
Somebody's submitting like 25 vintage books and getting 15 9.9s.
We always think, how could it ever get crazier? And then it always does.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the #1 collectible show in the universe. I am Swaggle Haas, joined by my esteemed co-host, Ryan, Automatic Comics, Manu, the 99 Newsstand, and Neo, Cards and Comics. Gentlemen, how are you doing today? We have so much to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
I'm well.
Nobody's
Someone got
gonna-
to jump
I
in.
didn't know if there was
Yes.
going to be some type of more lead
asked-
in there, but yes, we do.
When I point to you guys, you talk.
Yes, that's
I don't know. Like I said, I just woke up like a half hour ago, so
I always
we're-
expect Ryan to talk first, and then me and Neo just kind of figure it out.
Maybe
Depending on.
that should be our thing. Whoever's in the top right corner goes
Yeah.
I was
first.
trying to
You just wrap
blame
down.
me.
Yeah.
Trying to
Yeah.
blame
Swag.
me. But yeah.
That's the new rule going forward. Top right corner gets first position.
Well, as you guys can see in the chat, we are super dialed in tonight's episode. And it's a good thing that we are, because we have so much news to talk about. We got Todd McFarlane, signed books, controversy, scandal, people big mad everywhere in the hobby. We got leaked documents from Fanatics to speak on. We have world record sales again going on, and we have so much to go through in this episode. And I want to say thank you all to everybody in the chat for hanging out tonight. It's going to be a great show. Now, a little bit of a plug though. We still have to talk about how the Ungraded Truth YouTube channel is still, at this point, the fastest growing YouTube channel in the entire world. Last week, we were at 1,000 subscribers. This week, we are at 1,120 subscribers, not to mention that our most recent video got over the 700 view mark. An amazing accomplishment. Guys, how do you feel about our YouTube channel right now? Just straight crushing it.
Very.
I
Proud.
mean, I'm pretty sure that 100 subscribers in a week is like 1 billion %. So I mean, I don't know how anybody can compare with those types of numbers.
I mean, you put One Piece on that thumbnail, so that's why I performed well.
Very, very true. We might actually be a huge One Piece podcast, because everybody in that comment section said that we were brilliant minds when it came to us talking about One Piece cards and knowing exactly what we're talking about. I think one of the reasons why we have now 9 5-star reviews on our Spotify channel. You know, last week we were at 6 5-star reviews. Now we're at 9. That's an increase of 50%. Imagine this, viewer watching the show right now. Imagine that you could hop over to the link in the description, go to our Spotify page, and you could be the 10th 5-star rating. I mean, you may want to do that before you have to become the 11th.
You could even do it right now. We'd be okay with it.
You could totally do it right now. But with that all out of the way, thank you all for hanging out. And again, give the stream a like. We are co-streaming on the Swaggle House YouTube channel. We're co-streaming on the Ungraded Truth channel, Neo's YouTube channel, as well as his Twitter account, and Ryan's channel as well. And if you guys are watching in any of the various streams that we have going on, you know, we're all kind of collabed here. Everyone's links are in the description. Go give these people a subscribe. You know, if you don't follow one of the people on this panel, definitely go give them a follow, because these guys are great content creators, and it's always a pleasure to be able to share the screen with them every other Saturday. All right. With that being said, guys, we got to jump into our first story. We must not delay anymore. The Todd McFarlane signed books have been coming back into comic book collectors' hands, and we have so many fallouts that have become a storyline within the signature series. First and foremost, we have this one right here, which was a signed page by Todd McFarlane that went viral in the community. This is from ASM 299, and this is the first appearance of Venom. It is notably the first panel in which we see Venom. A lot of people have sometimes referred to this book as a cameo appearance of Venom because he only appears on this last page. A lot of people cite ASM 300 as being the first full appearance of Venom, but some user submitted their page to be signed. And as you can see right there on the bottom, he got Todd McFarlane to sign first Venom appearance. And this caused an uproar in the community. A lot of people were really happy about it. Some people were still kind of calling out 300 as being the better book. A lot of people were saying that 299 has always been the first appearance, and this is always what the market should be buying. I myself said that I think that the page is cooler than owning the comic book. And I thought that this was a super interesting story. And I guess I'll kick it over to you guys. How did you guys feel about this? And are pages the future? Because I think that not only is this an interesting first appearance debate, I think that this is an interesting collectible debate, as imagine the possibilities of what you can continue to get signed in the future when it comes to pages.
So I'll say that to me, this wasn't a big surprise at first, because like McFarlane is known to have said, like he's consistently said 299 is the first appearance of Venom, but it's just like 180. It's like people always like, a lot of people like to say that, oh, it's because there's money invested in this book or that book or whatever, and that's why the price is changed. It's like people buy what they want to buy, what they like, and the cover for 299 just kind of sucks. And so like that's, I mean, I think that's one of the big reasons why 299 isn't the book. Like if 299 had that as the cover, or had the cover for 300 as the cover, it would probably be the book, but it doesn't. You know, it's got the cover that looks almost identical to 298. And so it's just not a great looking cover. And so, but that's why, like, I wouldn't be surprised at all if this page signed goes for more than a 9.8 of 299 unsigned, maybe even signed. I mean, that really wouldn't surprise me. Now you got to be careful. Like I say, you got to be careful that like this could cause an influx of signings, you know, the next time, like 3 years from now. But I'm not always a huge fan of people tearing out pages to get them signed. But for usually my concern there tends to be more with like older books. Like I never like that, you know, like Amazing Fantasy 15, a lot of times, like if you piece out Amazing Fantasy 15 by page, like for a really low grade copy, it's actually worth more pieced out by page than it is combined. And I don't like that, because then it has people tearing books apart to get the maximum value. Whereas like this is such a common book, not a big deal really if somebody wants to take out a page to get it, kind of like a cool sign thing like that.
Yes. No, but I want to add more to that. Like I understand where Ryan's coming from, and I can appreciate those perspectives. And then I think I want to add, you know, kind of a perspective from someone that really digs this. Like I think Ryan's taking a very logical approach to it, and maybe he doesn't have like an emotional, like sort of passionate approach to this particular thing, and I can dig that. But man, we freaking love this thing. Like I got mine. Right, but this was gifted to me by a friend.
Why do you love it so much?
Because look at the image. Because look at the image, right? So like so now speaking from the perspective of people that love Todd and love Venom, this is iconic. This is one of the greatest Venom images of all time. And like this conversation, I don't want to get too much into the conversation about first appearance, first cameo. Look, I apply logic to that portion of it, and then I apply emotion to the other portion of it. The fact is, this book came out before ASM 300, and you can see Venom. Appearance means you see Venom, right? So whether you want to call it a cameo, I really don't give a shit. Like it's Venom and it came out before 300. There's significance there. And it's one of the greatest images. This image is reused on different covers. There's like the McFarlane sketch cover that's super sought after because it's just white with this on it. It's on graphic novels, all kinds of things, right? T-shirts. It's just one of the best. Like we have always loved this Venom image. And so it standalone, it just makes a really cool item. And I understand the argument of, you know, there could be a lot of these, but there can also be a big market to absorb these. The same way there's a big market to absorb ASM 300s. There's a buttload of those. There's 20 some odd, 30 some odd thousand graded, 5,000 9/8. I'm pulling these numbers out of my butt right now. But the point is, there's a lot and they still sell for thousands of dollars. You know, they can be absorbed. So a page this cool, visually this appealing, this iconic, emotionally this well connected with 90s Todd McFarlane and Venom fans, it doesn't matter if there's 100 or 200 of these. There's thousands of people that would want it. Now, what does that mean the value should be? I don't know. But for this gentleman, I forget his name. Is it here? Is his name?
I think he's in the I think he's in the chat.
Is he in the chat? What's up, my man? Shout your name out. Shout your Instagram handle out. This was so great that he did this. I'm going to go on for a bit about this. I love this thing. he requested that Todd write this, right? He's not the only person to submit this. It's been submitted before. It's going to continue to be. But he asked Todd to write first Venom appearance, which is just so fun. And that separates this from the rest of them. And maybe Todd never writes that again. It's not about whether Todd has acknowledged that before. As Ryan said, Todd has acknowledged that plenty of times. And Todd plays into the community. Todd's like, listen, I think it's $299. But, then the grading company started writing it on 300. Then dealers started calling it 300. And there's some logic there as well, because 300 is the full story, right? But this is an appearance. Now, again, I don't care if you call it a cameo or not. It is an appearance that happened before 300. It is significant. And Ryan is right. The cover of 299, it's not that inspired, it's not that inspiring, and nor is 298. But there's still value there. There's still significance there, of course. And in a newsstand, 98, it's even more expensive. And and there's other variations of it that make it even more expensive as well. But the fact that he got Todd to sign it this way makes it super unique. And then you combine it with the fact that it's from the, the Signature Series event. So it has the scroll on the top. It's the witness signature. Like, all of these things make this piece really cool. Now, someone can make the argument for it should only cost this or it should only cost that. But this guy can name his price. And I'm not saying he should charge thousands of dollars. It's up to him and it's up to his buyer if he's even selling it. But like, I can imagine someone.
He said he's been offered $2,000 in the
comments. Well, there you go. Oh, is that it? Oh, he's who said that in the chat? Yeah, exactly.
I assume that's who it is. So.
And that makes perfect sense to me. Like, I wouldn't even say that's crazy. I'd be like, whoever's willing to pay that for it or more appreciates what I appreciate about it. This thing is damn cool. And even if it doesn't have that written on the bottom, it's just got the Todd signature on it. Dude, it's still like $500 to $1,000 in my opinion. It just depends on how someone likes the signature and what they want to do with it. Because the opportunity to get it signed and slabbed, acknowledged with the label, it's gone now. You might have to wait 3 years for that. So if you want it, the time is now. And it does present much better than the book itself does. So I love it. And the idea of the pages, like you gave the examples of taking AF-15s apart, just hurt my heart a little bit. But the reason that, which I can understand, that individual pages selling will sell for more than the whole of a low-grade AF-15 is because it also introduces attainability to a buyer, right? I can get a page from AF-15 for $1,100, $1,700, but I still can't get a low-grade AF-15 for below $10K, right? And so I still get a piece of the first appearance. I still get the 1962, 3, you know what I'm saying? And it's cool in that way. So, but this one, a mid to low grade copy of this book, super attainable anytime. Anyone can get the page, but for the page to become the collectible that this particular one has become, maybe it never happens again. And that to me makes it very cool. And this page signed, desirable.
And I think this one is especially unique. Like getting the comment on the bottom is way different than just getting it signed.
Absolutely. And even just signed, there's a lot of people that would take that. Now, I don't know what price. I know what price people are paying right now, but if there's 1,000 on the market, I don't know what the price becomes. But I do imagine there's 1,000 people that would be very proud to have this on their desk, on their wall, or just in their collection in general. I think I went on for a lot right now. Someone told me to breathe, so I'm going to relax.
I think what's cool about this thing is that it opens up a lot of interesting possibilities. And Rob, I'm going to set you up right here. Isn't this just the evolution into like, when can we just get the trading card for our comic book collecting, desires here, which is just give me the image that I want in a slab.
Yeah. When I first saw this stuff earlier this week, part of me was like, is this just like in sports cards? Like we have like the 1 of 1, and that's, the parallels have taken over sports cards, and we have the 1 of 1 is like the unique, that's it, there's only one of them. And like I guess I would view that like OA would be the 1 of 1, and this is kind of like a parallel of the OA, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's basically like my first OA or like entry level OA. I know it's not original art, but you kind of get what I'm saying, like where it's just the single image in a case signed. I think the real key thing here that we need to separate is this particular one or future ones that have remarks on them of some shape or form versus just having the signed page. Remove the remark from the bottom, because I think the just signed page, like the cat's out of the bag now, and people are just going to do this going forward. So Todd specifically, you probably have a limited window here. Like the next time he does a signing event or a con, people are going to flood these things because that's just what they do.
I mean,
So I would
yeah, they're going to
not.
observe. They're going to observe what they go for. I mean, we'll see it, and it's like everything. In this one, it's going to be like we've seen, like it's going to be like a 3-year buildup because he historically it's been 3 years between signings. Now, I feel like CGC kind of hinted that maybe his next one is going to be sooner than that normal 3-year window, but
Well, doesn't he do like San Diego? And I know he's done New
well,
York. The
he
last
does.
couple
Yeah, I
years.
mean, yeah, he does. But those you're usually, I think you're only able to get like one thing signed. Like you're in a multi-hour line. It's usually a lottery to even get in there, and so like that can be. There's no guarantees there. That can be tough. Versus these types of signings where people send in like 15 copies of Spawn 1, like all that
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Regardless, though, I wouldn't air quote be investing money into the single sign page market because inventory is going to come. You will be able to buy a non-remarked version of this in the future for most likely cheaper than you can today. And same thing with other artists. Like I was already thinking like I like Jim Lee X-Men stuff. Like absolutely, there's some pages from the early X-Men Jim Lee run that I would tear out and send in and have it signed like 100% because it does display nice. Like it looks
That's
cool
an
on the
interesting
wall.
that's an interesting thought. Like what are some other artists out there right now that this would really work for? And I could see that with like some of the early X-Men, like the new X-Men run with Jim Lee, like that could absolutely
I mean, there's some
be
crazy pages in the early Jim Lee stuff. And that book, once again,
some of those like Psylocke, like that Psylocke page that the OA sold
Yeah.
last year, the year before, stuff like that. I could see those,
I
especially
mean,
if you get some
you
type
pull
of cool
stuff like
remark
that,
on
like
that.
that super cheap too, because a lot of those books aren't even that expensive. Like they're
Like $1
$3 books.
Well, that's one of the things why I thought that this was so interesting because it opens up so many possibilities to what do people want to collect and what thing best represents the spirit behind that collectible. If you're somebody who is a Todd McFarlane fan, maybe you want to own his first work, and that could be a comic book that he works on, or it could be that very specific Batman panel that he drew in, I forget what it is,
Comics
but it's like
Journal
his
64.
Thank you. So, do you want to have Comics Journal 64 slabbed? Or do you want to have that very specific page where he has the Batman in it? And that's the thing that you want to own. And this can go to any artist like you guys are talking about. What's Jim Lee's first work on X-Men? Is it really like that comic that you want? Or do you want like the knowledge of the first panel that he did in that X-Men comic book? Or like, a first appearance of Omega Red. Like he's kind of on the cover for X-Men 4, but maybe you want the splash page where you actually see him displayed. And so that's really interesting to me. And I am somebody who is kind of weird in that sense, where I sort of feel like I would rather have this signed by Todd McFarlane than the entire book of $2.99 signed by Todd McFarlane.
Oh yeah, I 100% agree. I would rather have that than $2.98. No question.
And then I look at it as you don't just have to pick though. Like I like what you guys are saying, but you can have both. Like you just have both, right? Because Comics Journal.
Well, I mean, like
64,
I wouldn't even really want $2.98, like or $2.99 that much. Like it doesn't appeal to me. But I'm sure people do. But like that's what I'm saying. Like
for the key appeal of it, people still want it. It's the same reason that Comics Journal 64. That is the one, right? Yeah. It's also Comics Journal 64, which has the first published Batman Todd McFarlane work in it, which is a Batman piece of art that he submitted. That does get torn out and slabbed and signed and sold, and it does well. But the magazine itself does extremely well too for a few reasons. One, it wasn't traditionally appreciated, respected, and stored safely, so it's an incredibly difficult book to get in high grade. It's black, I believe, on front and back. And just low grade copy sells $100 to $200 as long as it's intact with the page in it. And slabbed copies sell for much more. I don't even know what the highest grade on the census is, but this is a book that gets really expensive. And also the page does well. Some people have paid over $1,000 for the page signed, depending on what the Todd signature looks like on the page itself. And if I'm not mistaken, there's one on eBay right now. But I think it's a pairing. Yeah, it's a pairing. He's selling the Comics Journal 64 slabbed in a highish grade, 9.2. And that's a high grade for that, very high. And the page itself. And so that's a pairing, right? Where you get to have the item that actually has the key appeal to it, solidified, locked in, but you can't see it now, it's slabbed, and then have the page presumably removed from a $100 copy of that magazine, a lower grade one. Like in this signing, I've also submitted pages from that, and those magazines were not worth grading. Like they were the worst condition possible. But I personally would love to have a high grade of that magazine, even though I don't care about the cover of that magazine. No, I don't even know what's on that cover. I can't identify what that thing is. I don't like the cover. And so, but I would want both. Yeah, again, I'm speaking from that perspective, that collector's perspective, where $2.99, I don't love the cover. Do I love the book? For other reasons, I do.
It makes you wonder if there are certain items out there that exist that people
84,
ever
Comic
got,
Journal 84. Sorry, thank you, Black Mamba. Appreciate it.
but yeah, that people ever got done. Like I was thinking of like, like artists that aren't around anymore, like Bernie Wrightson or something, like his first work that he sent in, and it was like in Creepy #9. Like if somebody has a page that he signed of that or anything, something like that, somebody could get graded and put in, with a gold label and whatever, something like that. And this signature authenticated, like you just wonder what type of stuff maybe is out there that we don't really know about, that just could become really cool items like that.
Yeah. Well, very interesting. We'll have to keep our eye on the page market. Neo, do you have one more thing to add right there?
I was just gonna say, I think Ryan mentioned earlier about like what could potentially be next. You could kind of work down the list. I think you could almost go like from the early '90s on, of like every character that had a key first appearance splash page.
Liefeld.
Like just yeah, just think Spider-Man alone. Like someone in their collection might want this page paired with, like the first Carnage page, with the first Null page, with the first, go down the list of, whatever. If there's an iconic image or splash page for any hero or villain's first appearance, if the artist is, relatively attainable, a Bagley Carnage page, there's tons of ways you could go with it.
I wanna just there's a friend in the chat, and I would love if you guys have opinions on this too, and perhaps you do. And his name is Merc Mutant. He's in the chat. What's up? And he and I know each other, and he usually has, and I hope he doesn't mind me saying this, he usually has kind of like these is zinger, like a punch in the gut sort of statements to make, right? Like if he has an opinion about something, he usually just throws it at you, and it's kind of like you could take it the wrong way sort of thing. But he knows that about his opinions and stuff, but we've had plenty of conversations. But he says, this image is a Marvel card PMG. If you just want the image, why not just buy the card? And like, so I have like sarcastic answers. And part of the answer to that is because the card came out like yesterday, and the card's like this small. Like this is the actual thing from 1988, right? Like this is the actual thing, right? So like that's the difference, because we can own this image in other ways. Like I said, they released the McFarlane sketch variant in like the year 2000 and something that sports this. And it's a dope looking book. And a lot of us do own that, and it does have value. So there are other ways to own this image in valuable form as well. But I think to answer the question about why not just buy the PMG if you just want the image, I think it's a little bit more than just the image, but the image is obviously cool. So we do want the card as well, if you like collecting cards. But this is the actual thing from then. And so that's one of the key differences. And I don't know if you guys even care to have an opinion on that, but I wanted to address that because he and I, we talk about these things.
Yeah. I would just add, yeah, this is the original. However, people like to collect within their own verticals. And I just think comic collectors like comics, and not all of them like trading cards. So to answer the question, why wouldn't you just get the trading cards? Because this is the comic book. And that's the thing that certain people like to collect. But I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the other stuff going on with Todd. Now, this obviously was an interesting conversation. I'm sure that the page collecting hobby might continue to burgeon after this, and it'll be interesting to see where it goes. But for the most part, this is sort of a fun kind of bit of drama debating about $2.99 and $300. There was some actual interesting drama that came out from the collectors, which was what I'm going to call placement gate. A lot of people who sent their books into Todd McFarlane had been making posts that went sort of viral within the collecting community, talking about how they were upset that Todd didn't use the ink that they requested, or that he didn't sign in the place that they requested. So this particular person on Facebook made mention of the fact that they asked Todd to sign their Symbiote Spider-Man #1. And as you guys can see right here on the concrete gray, Todd McFarlane ended up using a gray Sharpie, which I understand the user was sort of requesting like a brighter color right there. So they were sort of upset that that disappeared into the brick. And then this user had a ASM 300 where they had Todd McFarlane sign it, and his Farlane kind of bled into the black foot, as you can see right down there in the bottom. And he was a little disappointed with the placement. He put a window bag on his signed book. Todd didn't quite sign it where the window was, meaning he kind of like purposely signed around it. And it was interesting how there was a lot of conversation in the comment section. And I kind of thought, from Snapshot, that most people would sort of say like, oh, shut up, like cry more. Those would be sort of the feedback to these types of posts.
That's my thoughts.
That's my thought. It's my thoughts too, actually. But the majority of the people were like, yeah, that's BS. Like Todd is just doing it for money. See Todd, blame Todd. Oh, this is just, he doesn't care about the collectors. And there was a lot of validation going on for the people who were upset about this. And I kind of wanted to throw that to you guys. Like, what did you think about Placement Gate?
I mean, so my thought on it is that most people, now I know it's not everybody, most people that are sending books in for that signing, they are flipping those books. They're upset because they're not going to be able to get maybe as much money for it because there's going to be another one out there that looks better than theirs when they go to sell it. Now, that's not going to be everybody. I know that's not going to be everybody. Some people, it's going to be their childhood copy and they're going to be upset that, it doesn't look the way they want it to look. So I can't say everybody. And I get it. Like, people pay for this stuff and that kind of thing, but it's like, you got to look at like what he is doing. He signed, I mean, the estimate I heard from someone at CGC was like 14 or 15,000 items. Now I've heard possibly it could have been more than that even. I mean, like, he's signing all day, every day for like at least a week. I've heard that some even doing afterwards, maybe things like that. I mean, it's just like, it comes across as just like so ungrateful for like what he's doing. And the fact that, I mean, yeah, I see the comments, like people pay for it, whatever. It's like, yeah, but he could charge so much more. Like, I get it. His signature costs a lot to have done. I think they charge like $150 or something like that. It might be more than that. 160. But we go out there and you look at sales prices for Todd signatures. I know Reef in the comments had said he wouldn't pay more than $50 for Todd signature. Well, I mean, I'll tell you, like, you get a Todd signature on one of his key books, you can add hundreds, if not in some cases over $1,000 to the price of that book. And if it's like a 9.8 of like ASM 300, it can be more than 1,000. I mean, he knows what people are making off of his books. Or off his signatures. He's not stupid. And so like, maybe like if I was him and I saw that many people complaining about me doing that, I would start being like, all right, I'll sign less stuff now and it's gonna be $500 a pop. Start, it's like that's what it could come to. Like, if enough people are jerks, someone will just be like, screw you guys.
So that's a good question though. Should they just do that? Like,
maybe that's the answer. Yeah. So they can get everything that they want, but then it's gonna be way less people that can get it, or you limit it to one item per person. Only one signature like per person, like you do when people bring it into a show. Like, there could be there could be repercussions, from that if the noise is too loud.
What do you guys think about that as far as a trade-off? Like, should people be upset about this, or should CGC have managed expectations, or should Todd, just be sitting there and making sure that everyone gets every single color that they want?
I think yes and no. I think what Ryan said is right. Like, you do have to look at it from the perspective of 10 to 20,000 books being signed, and sometimes things are going to get a little less clean than the first run of books that were put in front of them, or the ones done earlier in the day, or the ones done right after lunch, or these kinds of expectations. But it's yes and no, because also I'm not so much on the same boat as Ryan where like I totally don't understand where the submitter's coming from. I myself, being a submitter, I think $160 is a significant amount of money to pay. I think months and months is a significant amount of time to wait, whether you're someone that's going to be, trying to maximize your profits when selling, or, the pride in ownership. You obviously want a prominent signature. You want the placement that you suggested. If you did, a lot of collectors, I have a friend submitted 50 something books, and he didn't select anything. It was signer's choice, and he got a bunch of beautiful stuff back, and he got a couple of things back that he may have preferred differently. But he is of the mindset where he understands where Ryan's coming from. And he's like, man, listen, Todd's going to do what Todd's going to do. I'm going to get a bunch of stuff I love and a bunch of stuff that I might have wanted to get back better. And he's all right with that. And I'm in the middle there, but I'm not offended that so many people were like, man, people should get what they pay for, so on and so forth, or what they ask. But I'm also not offended that Todd can't please everyone. Like it's a yes and no, right? Do you want it to be in the color that you want it to be in? Of course. And RMS in the chat here said silver signatures look better in person than they do in pictures sometimes. And that's true, because the silver sometimes just doesn't show up, and you can move it around or put it in a different light where it becomes more prominent. But if you can't see your signature, that does kind of suck, man. And I can't blame someone for not being happy after spending $160 and waiting 3 months to not be able to see their signature.
I'll say, like, and I get that, but like, I still feel like a lot of the time when people are like, "Oh, I'm unhappy. I guess I'm gonna sell it," and it's like, you were gonna sell that anyway.
but that's the other thing, right?
Like, I think maybe it's like a little bit of being jaded on, like, people are like, most people are sending into that to sell those books. Like, it's just,
is that a bad thing? Are we?
No, I know.
That?
I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm saying like if you're getting so upset about it, like, don't act like it. I think people like act like they're upset because it's like something that they're keeping, but it's not.
Can I just say, I mean, listen, okay, I love all you guys. Okay, I love all you collectors, love all the dealers and stuff, but there's so much entitlement when it comes to this stuff, right? Like, there's like, think about like the Todd McFarlane sign thing when they did the cutoff and everybody was upset. Yeah. That they're like, oh, you didn't warn us. Like, oh, but the thing was supposed to go to December, and people were so mad. But like, in the fine print, it did sort of say like, hey, act now before, like, we have the right to close it or whatever. And everybody was really just mad because that was going to be something that was going to give them that free money that they could like send in a bunch of books, that they could sell all these books. And there's kind of like this machine and entitlement to being able to make that flip. And that's really kind of what Ryan is saying. And I agree with you, Ryan, that it's like people are mad about that. Now, again, you're still paying for
each other, though.
Oh yeah,
it feeds each other. There's an economy here. Everybody's winning. CGC and Todd are winning too. Right. And the dealers are winning, and presumably the person who ends up with the collectibles winning too, because they get what they want, and it's very fair. But it's just I said it in my video. It's just a little hard to be so sympathetic towards someone who's upset when you know that they're a dealer. But Rob, what do you think about all these crybabies out there?
I think if you give a clear window of where you want it signed, that should be respected at minimum. I could see the ink choice thing being a little more tricky, but like the example that you showed where there's like clearly a window, please sign it here. Like, it feels like he went out of his way to not sign in the window on those. That feels different to me than some of the others. And
let me add a little bit of context to that. Apparently Todd McFarlane doesn't like signing outside of the circle whenever he does this book. And this is what some user said within that thread. So maybe he, when seeing this window, was like, well, I'm going to actually just kind of inch it towards the bottom end of the circle. I don't really know if that's true, but that's what someone said. Anyways, continue.
I also think, does part of the blame here fall on CGC? Like, do they need to manage expectations better when you send in? Like, should it be like, hey, we're doing a Todd signing, you cannot request an ink color, and clear up and maybe speed up the process a little bit? Hey, give us a window if you want. Cool, we will respect that, but the artist is choosing the ink color. You don't have a say over that anymore. And then you just leave it in the artist's best judgment. Because I have found when I've done signings in the past, and I haven't done a ton, but I did a Todd signing the last time that he did it, when they did trading cards for the first time, and I did a Jim Lee one as well. Usually they have a pretty good feel for what looks good. Like, I sent my Todd stuff in, I sent cards, I put no notes on it. I said, just do your thing. And, I got the Spider-Man metal card with the ASM 299 image on it signed, and he used a great looking white paint pen, and it looks fantastic. And I didn't request that. It was like a dream come true of what you would request. I got it on that signature. to be fair, my Jim Lee ones did not turn out that great on some of them. Some did, some didn't. But I think CGC might even be able to handle this better. Maybe it starts with them, you know. And same with signing. If they are going to do the color specific thing, like I've done signings in person before where whoever's kind of next to the artist is basically like pre-prepping them of like, oh, okay, here, you need this for this book. You're going to need this silver pen or this gold pen or this green or whatever is coming next to keep it moving versus putting it on Todd to do that.
Yeah, and I'll say like one of the like, and we talked about this some in the chat. Like one of the ones that I definitely agreed with the person's complaint was when they said they had sent in like a 300, a 316, and maybe one other book, and all of them got signed in like the light baby blue pen. And I'm like, that's such a unique color. And he did not request that. He had requested like white or something. And so like, that's such a unique color. Like I would say like, you should not use a unique color like that if the person doesn't ask for it. Cause like that is something where if you don't like that, like that's really going to take away from that item for you.
Unfortunately, it takes away from the item for you. And if you don't like it and you're like, I'm just going to dump it now, it also makes it difficult to sell
Yeah,
it.
it really, it definitely limits your buyer pool as well for something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, there are sometimes like, I think some of those unique colors look great, but yeah, like if you don't ask for something like that, I can really understand and a complaint with.
And I will say, I only submitted a limited number of things and I've only gotten a few of them back. And the things that I have gotten back, I did submit with windowed situation and with an ink desire, a color that I would like, and I did get what I wanted, and I'm quite happy as a result. And I do not submit to signings often, and every time I do with direction, and I have always gotten what I had requested. So I've never been on the side of being surprised with something that like sucks, but I have been on the side of being on eBay and saying, I'm definitely not buying that one, like, so I've seen it from that perspective, but I haven't felt what it feels like to be the submitter. And I still have books that haven't come back and I haven't seen the scans from them yet. So we'll see, but knock on wood, hopefully it's all good. But yeah, if I get it. Yeah. But I agree with everything you guys are saying.
I mean,
But
think how
I
frustrating that would be too, though, of you have folks out there that are seeing everyone get their books back. And it's like, oh, great. He signed it exactly in the window. He signed it in exactly the color that I wanted. And then someone else gets their submission back and it's in the opposite color and not where they wanted it signed.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the other thing to kind of look at
the
with
same signing
complaints.
event.
Right. But that's one of the things to look at with complaints. People are probably at least 100 times more likely to complain about something they don't like than praise something they do.
Right.
And I mean, I've seen plenty of signings that of the posts people have done that are fantastic.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it probably gives you a skewed view of the complaints, but yeah, you still, they're still out there.
Swag,
Go ahead.
on this, this is not about the signature. Todd did his thing, but of two of the things that I got back, which are the same things and their pages and they're signed and they were signed where I wanted them to be in the color. One is encapsulated flat and one is encapsulated like this. And it's a page, it's not even a comic book. So it's not being damaged as a result, but it doesn't present as well as the other one. That was a CGC problem, obviously. It had nothing to do with Todd, but I wanted to throw that in there too.
Just open it up, fix it, and seal it again.
Yeah, actually, you know what? The grade doesn't matter. Might as well, right? I'll sign it twice too. That would be fine.
Well, no matter how bad your signature ended up at the Todd McFarlane signing, at least you got a signature because there was this one user that submitted an ASM 316, which is, of course, or 313, excuse me, which is, of course, this classic Todd McFarlane lizard cover, except there's one problem. It came back with no signature. Guys, how does this happen?
These are always my favorite. I love seeing these because you're just like, how many steps did that have to go through in terms of failure on CGC's part to get to there? Like, how many people saw that and just let it slide? Like, it's shocking sometimes when that type of flaw gets through. Like, and I've talked about this before. Like, I'm generally, like I like CGC, but quality control is something I've talked about with CGC. And I know they grade a lot of stuff, but there are certain things that get out that should never get out. Like, there's certain quality control issues, like maybe a scratch slab or scuff slab, stuff like that. It's like, okay, but like this, things like this, or having like the wrong label with the book, like that kind of thing, like just should never, ever be out there. Now, granted, because people love to collect those types of errors, that could be worth more than the if it had gotten the signature. Now, it is a 9.8 newsstand. Like, I bet having the SIG on there would make it, a pretty, unique piece, or relatively unique piece.
Relatively, yeah.
But yeah, I think they'll probably keep it that way. I would not be surprised if they end up keeping it that way.
So this is a friend of mine named Alex, and I just wanted to say, like, he's not upset. He was just kind of like, what the heck? And even in the tone of his caption, he's not upset about it, and I think he's still making a decision as to what he's going to do about it. We were supposed to talk. I didn't get the update from him. And I even told him, I said, man, you're surprisingly like a really good sport about it. He was like, well, I'm just kind of like giggly about it. It's kind of hilarious to me. And Swag said so much in his video too, like, this can be called the invisible ink variant. Like, there's so much fun you can have with this as its own thing, being the unsigned signed book. It has the label, it's yellow, it's a high grade, it's a desirable copy. Like, it's kind of fun. And if you now just resubmit this to get signed, well, this is just another signed copy of this book. But if you keep it like this, it's got this whole story on it. It's kind of fun. It's weird.
Yeah.
How do we know it's not signed on the inside?
Well, in theory, it could be signed on the inside. It doesn't say that in the grader notes. And I think it's just a pretty reasonable assumption that there's no way that Todd would have just opened up the book and signed it on the inside.
I don't
Right.
know if there's ever a case where an in-person, or where like an in-person signing like that they take the book out of the window bag.
Like, for what reason?
Maybe he signed 47 pages right before this and was just in the groove on signing pages and was like, all right, another page.
That's hilarious, bro.
It's like, prove us wrong.
I will point out that, you're right that, occasionally in comic books and collecting, you get the notorious certain versions of certain books. Like, we have the Angry Girlfriend copy that is the Green Goblin book, or now we have this first appearance Venom page that will always be known as like, oh yeah, this was that one page for that one time.
Yeah.
And then now you have this invisible ink copy. But I just kind of want to throw it to you guys. It just maybe kind of a rapid fire quick answer. Ryan, if this was your book, would you send it back in, or would you keep it like this?
I'd keep it like that.
I keep it like that.
Keep it.
That's it.
Yeah. It's interesting. I will say that I do know that CGC did get in touch with this person, and I did hear from Matt Nelson that they will make it right if this person wants that. Like, they'll send it to Todd McFarlane and sign it. I kind of think it's an opportunity, yes, to really lean into the branding. If I was CGC, I'd make a joke about it. Like, next time I was at a con with Todd McFarlane, I'd do something. Maybe you can have McFarlane literally like invisible ink aura sign it.
It's the John Cena variant.
Yeah, the John Cena variant. Oh, I like that. I like that branding.
If I was the submitter, I would ask to have another book sent in and signed, and keep this one.
I like that.
Ooh,
but they probably wouldn't want that to happen. They
don't want that book out there. Yeah, they don't want that out there. That's the trick.
Then you shouldn't have put it out there then, huh? Like, that's
I'd be like, this thing goes in my closet if you let me send a different one in, or this thing is on a social media tour if
which it already is now. Like, it wasn't even intentional. Like, Algon's NJ, he made the post, of course, but I even saw other people pick up this book and make posts about it as well. I've seen this book screenshotted on other people's posts. They don't even know the origin of the book, so it's already made its rounds, and it's just a couple days.
I think this is the John Cena variant.
Yeah, I like that. I think that you should get John Cena to sign it. But I'm
gonna text Alex and tell him you cannot resubmit this book. Do not send this book in.
Yeah.
I would ask though to send another one in. Be like, I want to keep this one. Let me send in something else.
Yeah. Well, very interesting stuff coming out of the Todd McFarlane signing. Again, I do think that it's interesting that there's been so much uproar about it. But like Brian said, this is more the vocal minority. There are a lot of people that have shared tons of great looking signatures that are very, very happy with their books. And, it's not that many books overall that probably got messed up. But I did find it just fascinating that in the comment sections, there was a lot of validation towards the people that were upset about this. But maybe that's a social media phenomenon.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that, guys, we have big news to talk about. We have to take a moment to shout out an official sponsor of the Ungraded Truth show tonight. We have ourselves Landry Pop Auctions sponsoring the show. Big shout out to Landry Pop. Guys, they have their vault auction, Golden Age to Modern Comics, on February 10th, starting at 12 p.m. Eastern Time this Tuesday. And they have a lot of incredible books coming up for sale. I think this is going to be a massive event for them. We've been seeing lots of record prices for a lot of comic book grails already this year. The auctions are about to start, notably this one on Tuesday. And I'm really curious to see how a lot of these books perform. Obviously, a lot of great grails here. Amazing Fantasy 15. They got another Action Comics #1. Of course, it's a restored copy. High grade restored of Batman 1, some Justice League, and some other great keys. One thing that's nice about Landry Pop right here is that they actually do have the estimate prices. So I can ask you guys right here. I actually have a little bit of a game for each of you. Ryan, if you had $100,000 to spend for one of these books, would you rather have this DC Comics Brave and the Bold #28 in a CGC 9.2 or this Wonder Woman 1 in a CGC 7.5? Both of them around the $100,000 estimated price point. Which one are you taking?
I would probably take the Wonder Woman 1. It's a tough call because like when I saw the 9.2, because I hadn't looked at these before this. So like when I saw that 9.2 Brave and the Bold, like that's a pretty absurd grade for that book. That book is always just wrecked. But Wonder Woman 1 is my favorite of the three big Wonder Woman covers. Like you got All-Star 8, you got Sensation 1, you got Wonder Woman 1. That's my favorite of the three. So even though probably the long-term value play would be with the Brave and the Bold, I'd rather have the Wonder Woman 1.
Yeah. Very good. What about Rob here? There's a Fantastic Four 6.5 #1, or Fantastic Four #1 and 6.5, and a Tales of Suspense 39 and a 7.5. Both of them estimated between 20 to 30. Which one are you taking first? Fantastic Four, first Iron Man here?
I take the Iron Man. I have more appeal to that. It's more personal preferences. I like Iron Man more than the Fantastic Four.
Yeah. Single quote copy, little bit of blue on the bottom of the table. You know how some people might be feeling their double quotes copies, but I got one for you, Manu. Check this one out. There's a Venom Lethal 1 Protector Error variant.
Black Error,
9.8
direct.
9.0 direct edition, 2,800 to 3,400 estimate for this one.
9.0, okay.
There's not really another book that
what's
may
what's
like.
The grade on that Platinum UPC? Yeah, that's my baby. What's the grade on that?
Here we go. We have a 9.8 newsstand gold Spider-Man.
I'm taking this over the 9.0 black. It doesn't matter to me.
Even with a lower estimate. Wow.
Yeah, because I don't want the 9.0 in the black. The black one is attainable in 9.8s. It's not that crazy. Like it's offered to me all the time or often enough. But the black one in a newsstand is super scarce. And I recently had one slip through my hands because someone was willing to pay more. And congratulations to them. But for me to get a black direct of this, I already know who I can call, where I could get it from. And sure, it's going to cost between, let's say, I mean, it's an expensive book, but it is still attainable. So if I'm choosing between a 9.0 of this, when I actually want a newsstand of this, this is not the version of this that I ultimately want. And I would take a newsstand in a 9.0 over the gold UPC any day, but I would take the gold UPC. I love that book. And if you pull up that gold UPC again, it just looks beautiful because Spidey only has white in his eyes and the barcode makes the white pop out. And it's just a gorgeous version of this book. It's a Walmart exclusive UPC. And it's just an incredible book, and I don't own it, and I love it. So I would take this one.
What's the census count on that?
It's probably not even extremely low. I don't know it off the top because I've never had it to sell, so I don't know it off the top.
Didn't 9.9 sell on like somewhere recently? I feel
a gold UPC 9.9? No way.
Wasn't
it
a 9.9 gold? Maybe it
It
wasn't.
could be a gold, but it might not be a gold UPC.
Yeah. I thought it was.
Well, it says right here, population report down in the description, 189 in 9.8. 6 of them are higher. So there are
9.9s, maybe even a 10.
9.9s and 10s.
Oh my gosh.
But there you guys have it. Great choices from the gentlemen on the panel. But guys, LandryPop.com auction this Tuesday, February 10th, 2026, 12 p.m. Eastern Time. Be sure to head on over to LandryPop.com and give yourself a chance to win one of those mega rails coming up. Thanks for sponsoring tonight's show. All right, let's kind of go on to our next topic here, guys, which is going to be some red meat for Rob. I'm going to have you carry this one, but we have the release of the files. The files have been leaked and everybody's talking about them. But Topps breakers have been revealed in leaked Fanatics documents. I have this tweet or this X pulled up by Sports Card News, and I'm just going to kind of quickly read over it, and then you can kind of take it from here. But it says this: internal documents from Topps and Fanatics have leaked, revealing the confidential data behind their hierarchy of breakers and distributors. These documents expose exactly who is moving the needle for Fanatics, including a 12-month rolling spend for their top partners. You can see the top partners right there and the amount of millions that they are spending with this company. Besides the money, the most interesting takeaway: the documents explicitly state that certain breakers operations are being identified for stronger allocation support, specifically in exchange for breaking product on the Fanatics Live platform. If you wonder why your favorite breakers suddenly switch apps, the answer is in the paperwork. The leak also highlights special treatment for high-profile partners like Card Vault. While the store's 12-month spend is lower than the Giants at $3.4 million, the company enjoys significant executive attention and special pricing structures. So a big story in the card world. And maybe you can kind of explain it to the layman comic book collector. What the hell is going on with big business?
It runs everything. Money flows to the top. So a couple things to keep in mind with this document. This is a time-specific document dating back to the summer. So the numbers on there are reflected of like July to July, like July 24 to July 25, give or take. This was meeting prep, like one-pagers for Fanatics, meeting with companies at the National, which is the card version of San Diego Comic-Con, basically. And everything on there didn't, if you're in the card space, none of it was surprising. It basically kind of confirmed what a lot of us kind of believed to be true. It was just like confirmation of, oh, okay, this isn't super surprising. That's not super surprising. A few things stuck out. And this isn't even directly related to Fanatics, but they had Backyard Breaks, which is one of the biggest breakers on Whatnot, that their estimated revenue for the year was $270 million. That has nothing to do with Fanatics spend. That's just what their incoming sales are in a year on as a Whatnot seller of almost $300 million is insane. Some of the inside baseball stuff that people in the industry card-wise were pissed about was like certain shops getting certain terms. Like there's a profit sharing model that one of that David Adams has that nobody else has. Card Vault was getting net terms, which most people have to pay in advance. So there was that aspect of it, and no one else was getting that. So people are side-eyeing that. And this also isn't like a definitive, these are the top breakers overall. It's the people that they were meeting with. So that list isn't necessarily all inclusive, because I've seen questions about like, oh, why is this person left off? Or why was that person left off? The key thing to keep in mind is that was people that they were meeting with at the National. So just because someone's not on that list, it just might mean that they didn't have a meeting slot at the National, or they didn't need to meet with them there. But yeah, tons of money in the sports card space. And it's shows how if you want to play ball with Fanatics, you have to be all in. They want you at Fanatics Fest, which is their version of a sports Comic-Con at the Javits Center, where New York Comic-Con's held. They want you participating in their global events like Topps Rip Night and Trade Nights. They want you selling on Fanatics Live, not Whatnot, unless you're so powerful that you could tell them to basically kiss my ass like Backyard can, because they break on Whatnot, not Fanatics Live, because they have such a massive following, they can do whatever they want. But it really kind of lays out how Fanatics want you to play ball under their terms. And if you don't, they're going to rig the system against you, for lack of a better term.
I find this story really interesting, especially as it relates to another story that came out sort of recently. I'm not going to go too deep into this, but Michael Burry, who famously was the guy that bet against the housing market, he was played by Christian Bateman. No, who's Batman? Christian Bale. Christian Bale. He was played by Christian Bale. I don't know. I forgot. He was played.
Christian Bale's not my Batman.
He was played by Christian Bale in the Big Short film, but he recently came out with a article talking about how he actually believes in GameStop. And one of the reasons he was kind of hinting at with his belief in GameStop is that the CEO has been doing all these clever moves into the collectible world and kind of, pairing up and making good partnerships with other companies. There's a lot of speculation that GameStop, who is sitting on a bunch of cash, is going to make a big purchase. And he also laid a little bit of hint of how he's kind of this Marvel card collector fan. He has a sealed box of Series 1. And I think he was kind of just implying that one of the reasons that he actually likes this stock is because of the fact that there's kind of this monopolization and a lot of merging going on in the collectible hobby. The collectible, and I should say hobby lightly, because it's really this collectible industry that is sort of becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. And a lot of these companies are making more interesting partnerships. And it's kind of like what you're talking about, Rob, where these companies that grow want to keep more and more of the people that are in it within this kind of closed loop and this ecosystem. So it's like, how do we get the people not just buying our cards, but how do we also get them to grade with us? And then how do we also get them to go to our events? And then how do we also get them to attend our, live streams? And you got to get people all up in the ecosystem and suck out all of the excess industry that already exists. And I just think it's really an interesting topic. And I think that you've been doing a great job, talking about how it's no longer really a hobby. It's much more of an industry. And it's just definitely a sobering reality check, I think, for a lot of people that are in it. But I don't know if you guys have more thoughts on that.
And you see it on the other side too. Like PSA is doing the same thing. Like you submit the card to PSA, they'll vault it for you. You could sell it directly to eBay. You could keep it in the vault and resell it again and again and again. And like, meanwhile, they just want to, basically all these companies want to get you in their ecosystem and get that initial sale or purchase. And then they just want to make a few percentage points off you every time you do something with it after the fact.
It's like the service style like industry now, or just they try to get you everywhere. It sucks. Like it's like you never really just like truly own things anymore. It's like everything is like nickel and diming you along the way. But I think the GameStop the GameStop story is pretty wild. The turn in that, because GameStop was just like everybody knows, it's just like it was like a meme stock. Like it was just a dead company. And the only reason it pumped was because people kind of like basically like bid it up, but now
it was a short squeeze. They were just trying to stick it to the people that were trying to manipulate it down.
Yeah. But now, like getting into the card space, and especially like, I have to imagine like one of the big drivers in their profitability is their involvement with the card vending type machines, like that is just printing money. It's just printing money. And because like they're not, I can't imagine very much of their revenue is like actual games anymore, like video games.
No,
I bet it is a huge percentage
to like Pokemon and selling sealed and singles. And they do have an online repack like Arena Club and Courtyard. It's power packs, but it's actually, so the tricky thing on that one is that's actually owned by that's actually owned by Collectors Universe, not by GameStop. It's a partnership with GameStop, but Collectors Universe.
Yeah, like that's why, like, I don't know what percentage they get. I'm sure they're getting some percentage. Yeah,
they're getting something. But yeah, GameStop has leaned heavily into collectibles, and they have a massive partnership with PSA because you could submit cards directly through GameStop to send in the PSA, so you don't even have to send them in on yourself anymore. They're basically glorified group submitters for PSA. So there's a strong relationship between those two companies.
Yeah. The feel good side of that part of the hobby, like cards, it's kind of like gone away. Like this is not an unpopular opinion. It's always kind of been my opinion, but I know we have a diverse audience now. So I'm sure that there are people that are watching or will watch later that love going into whatnot breaks, love the randomized elements on top of the randomized elements, they probably like the gambling part of it and so on and so forth. But it's like, I think this might be the example, a great example or a great place for me to be able to say, like, it was self-inflicted, right? Like if you continue to go to those breakers and spend your money there, that's where the allocations are going to go. Like if you go to Backyard Breaks and you support them and you pay whatever those prices are, or you participate in the Dave and Adams, whatever sort of auction, Dutch, French, whatever they're called when they're setting prices, and then they say it's sold out, but you know it's not really, and then it comes back $300 more and you storm in to buy them all. You do it to yourself, don't you? Like, why would they stop if you keep paying?
So the problem though is on some of the product SKUs, not all of them, is Fanatics. So say Fanatics is sending, I'll use Sapphire. Sapphire is a good example because it's one I've been talking about a lot. NBA Sapphire came out. It's a higher end, slightly higher end product, extremely popular, one of the most popular sets they put out every year. When you send 95% of the supply to breakers, what are you supposed to do?
Why is 95% of the supply going to breakers?
Well, but like, I mean, to me, like I have, and this is my old man yells at cloud. Like I'm just reached that age now where it's just like, I just have zero desire to do any of that crap.
Right.
Like,
me too.
Like, I mean, just like the whole, like, and I get it. Like cards have always had an aspect of gambling. Like when I was a kid and I would buy, packs. It's like, I remember buying like a full like booster box of like, I don't know what it was, like up NBA, like Upper Deck or something like that. And just like, I would just open every pack looking for Jordan. Like that's all I was ever looking for, and that's what it is, but it's gotten so extreme. I don't know. I have no interest in it.
The companies have won, creating the commotion and the hype of going into a whatnot stream and being celebrated in the chat, GG, by a bunch of people that don't know you, don't care about you once you log off, right? It's a bunch of nonsense. People are paying for the participation, the activity of it, and the dopamine of it. It's not going to a card shop, ripping a pack, hoping you get the Kobe Bryant rookie, like, and I'm not even complaining. Like my version of complaining is I don't do it. Right. That's how I don't like it. I don't do it. To each their own. They could do whatever they want. But my opinion is this is like consumerism combined with whatever sort of hype marketing it is. The whatnot commercials are annoying. I don't know who they're appealing to, but they're obviously drawing a bunch of people.
I hate those whatnot commercials.
I'm telling you, bro, it's like it's the first thing you and I ever agreed on was the damn whatnot commercials being irritating, being a poison. And so that economy exists. And it's encouraged.
And our other sponsor for tonight is
Whatnot. We would love to have Whatnot be a sponsor of the Ungraded Truth podcast.
Yeah, listen. We'll take Whatnot's money too, right? Because what I'm talking about is accountability on the individual spender / collector level. And if the allocations don't go to the breakers because the decision was that's where the distribution would come from. The decision was made because that's where the product was moving the fastest for the most money at, because the hype was driving up prices. The screaming and yelling when a card's pulled, which is the most irritating thing in the world to me, actually creates this energy for a certain sort of consumer that's what they're paying for. And it's just what it's become. And it's not appealing to me at all.
The problem is the people buying in the breaks aren't the collectors. Like Silver Bowl in the comment says you don't support big breakers, wait and buy the singles. It's two different buying groups. There's the people that want to collect the cards, and then there's the people that want to gamble on cards. They are not the same.
Right.
So it's not the people that want to buy singles driving up prices and driving demand for breaks. It's the people that want to participate in breaks. And
I
those
can't see the comment you're reading, but is he saying that let those people buy them, let those people get their dopamine, those singles will ultimately end up on eBay, and that's where collectors should shop? Is that what
he's saying? Like collectors shouldn't be buying in the breaks, but I don't think
I don't. Yeah, I agree with that, because why are you gambling on what you want? Just wait till it goes to eBay, wait till it gets graded, hits eBay, and make a fair offer.
I mean, we all of us have a little bit of degen in us to some degree or another.
Of course.
You got to scratch the itch every once in a while. It's just the degrees of it. And like I said, Fanatics is diverting all the inventory that way because breakers drive up the prices on the secondary market. Like they control the supply, they get to jack the price up, and then Fanatics makes more on the re-ups because of the way that they do. I don't want to get too deep into the weeds here, but the way that they do their distribution models on a lot of products is they put a little bit out early on, a very small amount, direct to consumer. So you could go on and pre-order it like a month before the set releases. They put a fraction of the quantity out there. So of course it sells out instantly. And then all of a sudden secondary market prices on eBay 2x the price of the box because of, oh my God, look at all this demand for the box. They do a wave one to shops and breakers at usually a very good price that they can make a lot of profit on. Not always, it varies product to product. That sells out. They get a wave two from Fanatics. Wave two is priced at market price or slightly below market price. So they're essentially drip feeding supply out early on to drive up the secondary market price. So when they go to all the shops and breakers for the re-up, they could be like, hey, cool, that $800 box is now $1,600. You want wave two, $1,500 a box, fork it over.
Yeah.
And the breakers are more able to take that hit because they're marking it up even more to fractionalize it. Whereas your local card shop has to hope someone comes in and buys the $1,600 box off the shelf all in one hit. And then if that drives up prices higher, there's a third wave that comes and rinse and repeat. And the other thing it does is it stair steps it. So this year, Topps Chrome Basketball came out at $800, but the price on the secondary market drove up to $1,500, $1,600. So now next year, or even Topps Chrome Football in a few months, they could say, oh, well, look, basketball is going for $1,600 on the secondary market. We're going to start the new product for this year out at $1,000.
Yeah.
So they jump at another 200. So they're essentially manipulating the whole thing by using their breakers to continually drive up the prices, and they keep making money hand over fist on it because of all those various different reasons. Plus,
let me ask you
like I said, they're making the increased profit off of the re-ups, and they're making money off because they're breaking it on Fanatics Live. They're getting a small percentage of that. It's the whole ecosystem.
Do you think it will ever stop? Do you think there's a point where people will say, I love this hobby, but I am no longer buying modern cards until this thing gets, reasonable again?
Can I chime in on that, Rob, if you have something, if you don't have something?
I was just going to say, it goes back to what we were just talking about. It's two different people. The people buying into the break don't necessarily care about the modern cards anyways. They're viewing them as poker chips.
Can I ask something though? Can we just talk about one thing? I want to double click on that. Because one, how many people are there really anymore that are quote unquote collectors? I'm not sure if we can actually find that number, but to me, where I'm trying to insinuate by this is that I think the lines are so blurred at this point. And one of the things I think is important to just point out is just the fact that social media exists. So even if you're not somebody who is in these breaker rooms, you are constantly getting fed like content that's coming out of the breaker ecosystem. So you're getting the people that are getting the hits and the chases and the this, and then I what's up, guys? I flipped this card for $2,000. It's just constantly bam, bam, bam in your face. So even if you're just a collector, you're still feeling this culture, this energy, and we're human. Nobody's immune to this, and that's
like,
going to
affect
when, how
when you were sending us that thing where you're like, I keep getting yelled at.
Exactly. That's what he's talking about.
Exactly. I keep getting yelled at.
I want to stay on this just for a second longer with Neo here when he said they're two different people, and the people in the buying into the breaks that are just purely gambling, looking at these as poker chips, they have to. And I'm trying to follow you here, and I want to see if we could get somewhere with this because I think that might be the end of where I can get with this. But they have to cash in the poker chips, right? So if they hit something that they feel is valuable, then they have to sell it, and there has to be a buyer that agrees that modern product, because it's stamped with a number, is worth whatever the gambling guy thought he hit. Is there a point where the gambling guy goes to cash in his poker chips, the buyer says, this is fucking stupid. I'm not paying you for this dumbass card that was printed yesterday at this price. Do we ever get to that point where that collector says, wow, I'm an idiot, and this is probably not worth that?
Maybe, but keep in mind, a lot of the sports card market right now is propped up by repackers. So essentially, another gambler will be willing to buy it. Another casino will be willing to buy that poker chip off you to put in the play on their table.
It's fantastic.
What's important to point out too is like this is the perfect storm of cultural events like that goes beyond just collectibles. I mean, like we just live in a total degen world. It's K-shaped economy. If you're younger, you're trying to figure out how you could ever afford to buy a house. Well, shoot, might as well buy, some meme coin to go to the moon with this, or hey, might as well buy a Pokemon card, pack and try to, get the $1 million hit, and that's the mindset of a lot of people. And to them, like, if I have $10,000 and I lose it all, who cares? What's the difference? I couldn't have bought a house anyways. Like, that's how a lot of the younger generation thinks about this stuff. So I kind of just feel like it's the perfect storm. It's like the mindset, the culture, the collectible hobby blowing up like it is, and social media all put together with tools and apps and services that can, facilitate this stuff. And this is where we are. This is where we're at.
Yeah, I mean, a card that gets hit in a break, I would love to know the life cycle of that card before it actually ends up to an end user, because it probably takes a long time. Cards hitting a break, then the person gets it, they're sending it off to the grading company to get it graded so PSA could get their cut, then they're getting it back, then they're selling it, maybe a repacker buys it, so now it goes into a repack, it goes back into the casino, someone else hits it, they don't want it, they're selling it back to Courtyard's throwing it in their repack, then it goes here and it goes there and it goes there, and then eventually at some point in time it actually ends up in the person that wants to own the card that probably paid a fraction of the price at the end, and in the meantime 8 different companies and 10 different people made a percentage point on that card as it moved through the system.
Building the economy.
Yeah.
How much money did that one card make?
The other thing with sports too is
it's called synthetic CDOs.
Basically. The other thing with sports too, like to the modern thing that you point out, Manu, a lot of people want to collect and chase the people that they're currently watching on TV. They want to chase the next Cooper Flag. They want to chase the next, Drake May, like insert whoever the hot next greatest thing is, even though 98% of the time they're not, it doesn't matter. Everyone thinks they know who the next Jordan or Brady or Kobe or LeBron is going to be. And they'll spend, look at the dumb prices on sports cards of guys that have played, in some cases, no professional games, sell for way more than a Jordan or LeBron card, who is, the greatest of all time in their respected sports.
The thing I don't really understand with this is how, like, it kind of goes to what Manu was saying. It's like, how does this remain sustainable? Because anybody that watches, like, I like to watch some of these channels where it's just like guys opening packs, and it's not for breaks and that kind of thing. Just like I don't know, just some Pokemon channels, but like, we know that these boxes basically have a return, like an average return of like maybe 10%, 10 or 15%. You spend $1,000 on average, you're getting $100, $150 in cards out of it. If you're somebody that's buying into a break, your return is even worse. Because now it's been fractionalized and you're paying even more for your piece of that. And so people are losing even more buying into a break. Like, there's no way buying into breaks is ever profitable. Like, when you aggregate it over multiple breaks. So it's like, at what point do you just go like, man, I'm tired of getting kicked in the nuts. Like for this, because like, you're losing money every single time.
I don't know.
And there could definitely be people that they could buy into 100 breaks and never hit. They just get wrecked every single time. And that's probably not all that uncommon. I mean, I've talked about this before where I watch like Pokerev, and he opens some box of vintage cards. The box is like $2,000 and he gets like $80 in cards out of it, just nothing. And this is that even worse, because he's at least like, he bought it at that price, or he had it at an earlier price. He's just pulling it from his inventory. But like, I mean, that's where I don't see how this is sustainable. Like, how often do you accept just losing money over and over again, or is it the fact that like the one time you win, and I know I've heard this is the mentality a lot of people have, like the one time they win, they're like, hey, I'm up $1,000. It's like, how much did you spend to get there? Oh, $10,000. But they don't think about that. They think about the $1,000 hit they got.
They got the GGs, man.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
It's so tough for me to understand.
They built a massive city in the desert off gambling. It's the exact same thing. Gambling has been around.
Well, but that's the thing. The breakers are the ones that the breakers are Vegas. The breakers make money. Like
Right.
the people buying in are just losing.
Yeah, but the
over
people
and over.
going to Vegas don't make money. They go for the good time, and maybe you win,
I
maybe
feel
you
like
lose.
your odds at Vegas are way better than your odds on a break.
Well, it is a good thing where it's like, yeah, what is that human thing that people are getting from it? It's the they're getting the theme park ride.
Mhm.
Like even if they're losing that money, it's like they gave this money to feel whatever they felt in that time and moment that they spent in the breaker room and having their screen name get shouted out. And
Yeah.
that's
And while also hoping that the breaker actually ships the card to them if they got the hit.
Oh yeah, and then there's that, right? And then there's
Yeah,
that.
I mean,
Yeah.
gambling is the one thing in life that has basically remained undefeated over the years. There's always been some form of it. There has always been a massive demand for it. And now in 2026, even more so. I mean, sports gambling's taken over everything. We have prediction markets and poly markets, this and this thing, that.
Bro, it's
And
the worst.
breaking is just
Oh, man.
another aspect of that. That's all that it is. And there is people that will feed that beast, and as long as they are, then the system keeps spinning. Maybe at some point in time it reaches a tipping point. The one thing that could potentially happen is and I don't think this will happen, but like there's the regulation word that gets thrown around, because the one thing about breaks is it's unregulated gambling. There's no rules, there's no laws, there's no nothing. You can do whatever you want as long as you don't get called out on social media. And in some cases you could do really dumb and really bad shit, get called out on social media, and still make $300 million a year. Like Backyard Breaks is notorious for some of the most disgusting and worst scams out there, and they still make $300 million a year.
You just got to blame the people that are supporting them, bro. It's not even their fault. If they can keep doing it, then they're supposed to keep doing it. They'll deal with their karma however. But if you keep spending money with them, and I don't know who the you is here, the royal you or whatever it's called, I don't know. But like people keep going back, right? So who do you blame? You blame them for continuing? The money keeps coming.
Well, it's a fascinating story. I don't think that big business is going away. I think that the breaker economy is going to continue for a long time because, like you pointed out, Rob, I mean, gambling is a real thing. But it's one of the reasons why we have shows like this, so where we can talk about these topics and get into these conversations and, hopefully share some insights to the
You guys
people
just
out
need to
there so
figure it
that
out on
they
the comic
know what they're
book
doing.
side, and then comic books will go to the moon.
Oh,
Figure out how to
I can't
gamble
wait.
on
I
comic
can't wait.
books. Good.
More blind bags. Well, speaking of other interesting news that kind of happened as far as like a little bit of a controversy here, this is actually something that came a couple days after our last show, but there was a class action lawsuit that went out against Hasbro. And I kind of want to read this highlight here from the Collectibles Guru X account that said this: Hasbro shareholders have filed a 78-page lawsuit accusing the company Wizards of the Coast of deliberately overprinting Magic the Gathering and misleading investors to prop up short-term revenue. The most explosive allegation: Magic's 30th anniversary edition boxes that costed $1,000, which Hasbro claimed sold out in 30 minutes, allegedly didn't sell out at all. Former employees say Wizards cut off sales early, marked the product out of stock, and later dumped unsold boxes in a Texas landfill. This is a wild story, and it's just really interesting because it kind of goes into the overprinting, manipulation, collecting thing. And I don't know if you guys have any just general thoughts about this, but I thought, we would bring it up just to touch on it since it happened right after our last show.
Yeah, Alpha Investments did a long segment on it, like a 50-minute or something like that, where I think the to me the best part about this, or the funniest part, was just like all the conspiracy theorists about how like some of these like products are printed and everything out there were proven right, and they were loving it.
It's been a good couple weeks for conspiracy theorists out there.
Yeah.
If you guys know what I'm talking about.
I mean, because it was just like every set where they're like, why did they make this garbage set? Like, how can they make this set that's so good and then have this set that's just absolute trash? And this is why. It's because they would have sets that were well planned out and everything, and then other sets where they're just like, oh, we need to cover a shortfall in our revenue. Like throw these. They had like a bunch of cards basically that were just prepped, and they'd throw them into these sets, and then they'd put them out there super quick. And I mean, it was it's interesting. Like at first, my initial thought, and that's why I was glad I watched the Alpha Investments segment on it, because like my initial thought was like, yeah, you know, like who cares? Like that's what they can do. They can print these sets all they want. You know, they can get the money they want. That's their business. But it was more about them really like ruining their IP. Like just like, and because the people suing them were like retirement funds. You know, I think it was like a Florida, like some retirement investment fund in Florida for like, I don't remember who it was, like a teachers union or whatever, or firemen's union or something. And so it was like they're complaining that it basically is destroying their shareholder value. And so that I get, like I understand from that perspective, like how that can really that really has done that. But it's just interesting. Like I would recommend, like if people want a deep dive on it, like go and check out that video, because he goes through all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I thought it was so funny watching that, just like how like everything where people just like, there were specific sets that they had been calling out about, like why was these sets so bad, and they were like listed in these findings. You know, it's like it all makes sense now. And it's just all the vindication, you know, for the conspiracy theorists was pretty great.
Yeah. Shout out to Alpha Investments. Did you guys have any thoughts on this, Rob or Manu? Just in this kind of overprinting madness?
No, I think Ryan pretty much nailed it.
Yeah. Well, let me do this then. It is interesting because, you know, one of the sets that everybody was calling was a terrible Magic set recently had a little bit of interesting news for itself. But shout out to the Spider-Man sets, and shout out to the Instagram poster Ben Bateman MTG, who did a great little breakdown about the finals of Magic the Gathering, the competition. I'm just gonna have his video play in the background, but I'll talk about what he said. Basically, everybody had said that the Spider-Man Magic set was terrible. Everyone thought the cards were underpowered. People thought that the product wasn't very good, and the values of this thing have definitely been correcting a lot from where they were at the height of release. But as Ben explains in his video, this Superior Spider-Man card and this Spider Sense card and the Sandman card ended up being some of the most powerful stuff in this finals Magic tournament, which ended up resulting in that player who used the Spider-Man cards winning the tournament. And Manu, you mentioned on the last show talking about like, oh, is Marvel cards ever going to get a surge? And, you know, is this a good time to pick up some of this stuff? I said to you that usually it's stuff like this where emergent player behavior kind of is the thing that escalates cards again in terms of their value, where if all of a sudden like, oh, hey, this random Magic card was actually pretty good, then people want to buy it,
and then
when,
boom,
you know, they want to play it, and then boom, the product goes up. And here we go. You got Michael Burry talking about Marvel Universe cards, and you got this Magic set winning the tournament. So I thought that was kind of interesting news. I mean, you guys have any thoughts on this one?
Cards. I still think I think being able to buy the Magic the Gathering, what do they call the collector booster boxes? Those are the good ones, right? Yeah, getting those at the 350, 370 range if you can, which is like 200 below what they were selling for and like 150 below what they retailed at, like still feels kind of cool, and I kind of want to do it. But I don't know, maybe after this news, maybe they don't maintain that price. Or how soon after this happens from the core playing like group of collectors does it actually have an effect on the prices of first those cards on the market and then the product that those cards come from? Like, what is that life cycle of the value going up organically based on play?
Well, and my other question, maybe Mickey, for you on this would be, how long until those cards aren't usable in play anymore? Like, how long do you have where, is it just like a year, or like how many sets out does it then become a non-usable card?
They do kind of this like rollover system where someone in the chat could probably explain it better, but effectively you would be like, there's two different kinds of tournaments. One where it's like, say it's like the last 2 years of product are like the cards you can use within certain tournaments. And then they have tournaments where it's like, you can use any card in existence. And so they're kind of divided in that sense. So I don't know if it's like a 2-year window or a 3-year window, but maybe that has to do, to answer your question, Manu, or maybe that's kind of this, maybe there's some weird meta life cycle within like kind of tournament windows of like, oh, when do the cards start to raise in value? But I don't know, Rob, if you got thoughts on that. Maybe it's hard to chart that.
One of the things to keep in mind too is with when it's the competitive side that makes a card pop off. Like when it comes to the collector booster boxes, keep in mind there's a base version of that card that you can get for much cheaper than the version that's coming out of the collector box. So if it's just, I want this card from my deck, people could get a cheap version of that that's not going to impact the collector box. But TCG players like their bling, and if the card does continue to perform well, they're going to want the best version that they can slam down on the table when they're playing in a tournament. You know, when I played
It
Magic
lifts
the
it-
Gathering back in the day, you know, you wanted to try to foil out your entire deck for when you went to the tournaments and stuff because it looked cooler as a flex.
Yeah. Translated to comic book collectors, it's like you can still just buy the cover A. The expensive card is the 1 in 100 variant
Basically.
cover.
Yeah.
But to your point, Rob, even if you can still buy the A card or the A cover, it's still just culturally it feels cooler now, and so there's just more people that are just generally interested to it. So it's kind of like a high tide lifts all boats.
Can I buy the B cover and rip the cover off and send it in as the A cover and cheat the system?
Neo, you know very well that you can peel the top off a TCG card and replace it with something else. Don't act like you don't.
Only if you can get the graders to change it from 9s to 10s. That's how you really beat the system. All right, let's kind of move on now to our next interesting story. Guys, they're giving out world record sales like candy these days. If you guys heard about this news, we had another massive $13 million sale, or I should say multi-million-dollar sale for 2 comic book grails, a Batman #1 and a CGC 9.4. This is the top of census version of this first appearance of the Joker. And we had a Superman #1 in a CGC 8.5 pedigree. Formerly, the highest graded version of this book was sold in a 2-pair through Semperfi Comics and Heritage, going as a private sale for $13 million. This came off of the heels of the $15 million Action 1 comic sale that went through Comic Connect, which also came off of the heels of the Superman 1 that was found and graded a 9.0 in the top of census that sold for $9 million. And guys, I mean, we are only 1 month into the year, and we've had multiple $1 million record sales for top of census Golden Age books. What were your thoughts on this one?
I mean, I've generally felt that Batman 1 sold like, what was it, 4 years ago or 5 years ago for like 2.2 million. And that always felt like just a low number for that book. And I think when they broke this down, they said that Batman 1 in this case sold for 6 million, which honestly still feels low. You know, like for a 9.4 top of census Batman 1, you know, first appearance of 2 of the most iconic characters of all time, Joker and Catwoman, with an iconic cover. I mean, just a white page copy, like everything. Knowing what the Superman 1 sold for, knowing what, now granted, Batman 1's a little later, I get that, but knowing what the Superman 1 sold for, knowing what the Action Comics 1 sold for, that feels like, I know it's a lot of money, but for the rich people out there, like that feels like that was a deal. The Superman 1, that to me, like, I know there's a 9.0, but that Superman 1, like visually, that is the book. I mean, it's the Edgar Church. Like, I know some people don't like that it has the minor amount of color touch or whatever the little note is on there. Like, I don't care about that stuff. Like Golden Age, I don't care about that stuff. Like, that is the Edgar Church mile high copy, like stunning book. Like, that combo is pretty incredible.
I did actually get a chance to speak to Semperfi, and he did mention that he couldn't tell me, you know, too much about like who the buyers were or like any specific details. He did say that he felt like this has gone to somebody who is very happy and is going to hold on to these for a long time. That was what he expressed to me. He also did kind of echo what you said, Ryan, where he felt like $6 million for the top census Batman 1 feels like a deal. Like, and so he was very happy about that. And I made mention in my video that I think it's kind of interesting because I wonder if the seller who, like I said in the preamble, who was owned the Superman 1, you know, was the top of census for a time. And then we had that 9.0 copy surface. Like, do you think that he was just sort of like thinking to himself, like, man, I don't want to have it happen again where someone finds a 9.6 Batman 1 or a 9.8 Batman 1. Like let me just get out of this stuff while I can. I don't know. That's just speculation.
I'll just walk away with my extra,
yeah,
$4 million.
$13 million. Yeah, true.
But I mean, and I saw Derek's comment. I think it was Derek's comment in there. Like I sold this for 17 million. Trust me, bro. Like I agree. Like that is the thing I generally don't like about these types of sales. They do feel like a trust me bro type, thing where then
Yeah.
you immediately have all of the like, it was just like with the action one, just like with the Superman one, like you had all the promotional stuff that goes out there, like, hey, look at this sales kind of thing. And I'm not like that kind of thing. I know they're gonna do it. I don't really. It always makes it feel like, did this really sell? Like I that's what I've said about that action one. That action one has felt so weird to me that it's like making the publicity tour, like how we keep seeing like Vincent. I've seen him like taking it all over the place, and I'm just like, if I had just spent 15 million on a comic book, the last thing I want is that thing traveling around the country, like potentially like getting damaged, or what's the risk of like theft and like that kind of stuff. Now I know we did talk about this some, that it's like, it could be that maybe it's some investor group that bought it and they want him to kind of publicize this thing. And like, that's very possible. Like, I get it. Like that's, but it's just been kind of strange to me, like where I'm seeing it everywhere, where I'm like, didn't somebody buy this book? It's like, why don't they have it?
Yeah.
It's kind of strange to me.
When are you going to
it is
ship them
interesting
their
'cause-
book?
Yeah, it is interesting about that because you have a good point. Like, maybe it's just the culture of comic book collecting that people who collect comics are a little less social. But you have to sort of think like, when are we going to get the person who is like the Logan Paul, who's like, I bought the Batman one, I put a chain around my neck and I go to WrestleMania with it. Like, like you would just think that some of these comic collectors would flex a little bit more. And not to put too much of a tinfoil hat on it, but you just sort of wonder, like when you have these private sales and they're always buyer doesn't want to be disclosed, seller doesn't want to be disclosed. It's just sort of like, wouldn't you think at least one of these would be like some rapper or some crypto billionaire was like, yeah, hey guys, like check out my new Superman, buy Bitcoin. Like, I don't know. Like, it's interesting to me.
Maybe a person didn't buy it.
Well, that's the thing. It might be some investor group that bought it. Like that is a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, Dick's Sporting Goods bought the Paul Skeens 101 MLB debut patch for a couple mil to display at their stores. And I think this whole thing goes back to what we talked about a month ago. When the first high-end stuff came out, that first one that we talked about, it's just feeding the system now. Like, they're coming out of the woodwork now for various different reasons. Maybe people saw that sale and they like the number that they can get on theirs, or people are concerned about a higher grade coming out, like you said on the Superman. There's a million different reasons, but when stuff like this happens, we see it in cards as well. All of a sudden, stuff starts coming out of the woodwork, and everyone's trying to get it to market before everybody else that's maybe had it for a while. And we'll see what keeps coming. It seems like stuff's going to keep coming. Like the high end, it doesn't seem to be slowing down.
Yeah. There's a lot of reshuffling, like you said, at the top of the market. One sale begets these next sales, and we're entering auction season. Like I already said with the Landry Pop earlier in the show, there's a lot of huge books in that one. Heritage also is going to have a huge auction where they have a lot of books. We talked about the Tech 27 already. They have another Action Comics one. They have another Superman one in a 6.5. A lot of the stuff coming to market. And, we said in our last show,
There's
like,
a Malibu Sun 13 and a PSA 10.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey.
Does the market actually have
there it
enough
is.
money to absorb all of these books? We mentioned that in the last show, but yeah, you already set it up, Ryan. Malibu Sun in a PSA 10.0 already sitting at $6,100. Who's going to pay $6,100? This seems already expensive to me. Am I right?
This is
Seriously,
listen,
buy a 9.8.
I'm not going to say anything about it, but we got a ways.
Do you have insight in this book,
Wait,
Madu?
did
I
you
mean, like,
did you
just
forget the hashtag ad for this section?
It's all right. I'll share with you guys.
should we look at this book? I mean, a beautiful copy. Manu, why don't you tell us about this Malibu Sun number 10 right here?
Well, okay. Yes, yeah. Neo, if this performs to a certain extent, yes, you're gonna have some fun. I want to do a big giveaway. It's a book that I love. This is the nicest copy of it that I think there's a likelihood that ever will be. I don't think another 10 is going to happen, my personal opinion, because I know how many copies of this book I've had. And I'm talking, I've said this so many times, like a broken record. I've graded over a dozen 9.8s. I've had dozens and dozens of Malibu Sun 13s. I've graded the 9.8s in the error. The error 9.8s, there's 6 9.8s. Heritage has a recorded sale of 14,400. I've sold a 9.8 that I graded myself for that price, and it's gone on to sell for more. Signed ones have sold for over 20K. This is the only one of this. So I'm just super optimistic. Whatever it does, I'm going to be very grateful for it. But I mean, there's like a chance, like I feel weird talking about it because it's mine, but just honestly, there's a chance. I mean, it could just do something really like special, right? Because it is kind of special. This book is notorious to be not in good condition. It was like, a preview comic, sort of. It was given away for free at comic book stores. It wasn't appreciated. Most of them have rusted staples. They're always in bad shape. Sometimes the colors aren't that great. And this literally, out of all the copies that I've seen, is the one that I kept while grading so many 9.8s. I never submitted this one until I had the opportunity for it to be appreciated for what it was. And it did, and I'm just happy about it. And I think the only way to connect with the right buyer would be through this, because I would feel really crazy asking the price that I would want to get for it. So it's just like I'm rolling the dice, you know. We're taking one of the highest grade copies of one of the rare spawns. It has the cover of Spawn 1 before Spawn 1. Spawn collectors love and appreciate it. A 9.8's like $3,500 because people already appreciate the book, and we're just gonna see what it does. Like all of us together, including me, we're going to see. It has 18 days left on the auction, and I think we're 3 days in, and I was a nervous wreck on day one, right? Because it was at like $525, and selfishly or secretly or not so secretly, I wanted it to see it already be at thousands, and I was like, 525, this sucks. Like, how am I going to make it 21 days? Like, I'm so scared. And then it went to
You could
21.
always
So much
just
defensive
you could always just
bidding.
defensive bid. Yeah.
No, you can't. And then it went to 2100 by that evening, and I felt so good. I was like, "Oh, this is cool, right?" And some folks at Heritage were excited about that as well. And then the next day it went to 2900, which after the buyer's premium is like 35 or something. But then it didn't do anything yesterday, and I was like, "Oh no, what the heck?" And then today it went to $5,000, which is 6100 after the buyer's premium for being 3 or 4 days in with 18 days to go. I feel pretty good about that, but I can't wait to see what it actually does. Like this thing, to
Man,
me
if
personally, has a lot of room to go.
if
And
you're watching every day, it's gonna be a lot. It's
bro,
gonna
I'm
be a rough road
refreshing
It's
to
gonna be a long
100
18
times a
days.
day, dude.
Oh my God.
I've
It's like-
never had a book bro. I've never had
Because
a
a
book.
lot of times they'll sit at a number for
I know,
like,
and
a
I'm
long
realizing
time.
that. I'm wondering why the tracker count's not going up. I'm wondering why the page views haven't gone up, and it's like, and I can't keep promoting the book over and over again. We haven't done much promotion. It's only been 2 posts. And as we get closer, we'll do some more. But there are people that I'm thinking about that I want to connect with and make sure they're aware of the book. But I don't know how to get in touch with some of these people. There's some really notable Spawn collectors that buy big books. I mean, this could be the most expensive Spawn book ever sold. I could also eat my words. Like I'm now on the screen saying this, and knock on wood, hopefully it becomes true. But there is a chance that this could be the most expensive Spawn book ever sold, and rightfully so.
Let me write down this timestamp real quick.
Yeah. But no, guys, listen. Listen, go bid on the book. Have some fun. I'm nervous. It could do whatever. I don't know, but it is an amazing copy. And I will
Only
say,
bid
if you
wanna
in
own it.
person, it looks great in the case. It's suspended in the case beautifully. It doesn't have the framing system. It looks absolutely gorgeous. It's an incredibly gorgeous copy. If you do end up being the buyer, I think you're going to love it. Like, I stand behind this book 1,000,000%. I love this book, but I had to send it to auction just to see what it could do. It was just financially responsible to do so.
Are you gonna pull Logan
Well-
Paul and hand deliver it?
I will hand deliver the book if it doesn't sell for this. No, but yeah, we're only 3 days in. I have no problem I hand deliver books in general. I do that. I love that. If it's a $30,000 book, I hand deliver. 60,000 I've hand delivered. I hand deliver books. I like doing that because I hate shipping. I would rather pay the $1,000 to fly somewhere, take that out of my profits, and make sure the book gets there. I do not like shipping books that are $20,000 to $50,000. It scares me.
$1,000 shipping, price prediction already. What is that? 100,000? You're saying then?
Gosh, if this book did 100,000, which come on, if this book does anything like that, I'm giving away thousands of dollars. That's the other thing, Swag. Like, I don't want to put a number on it because I have no idea. I'm just having fun and I'm taking a big risk. But if it does, as we get closer, if I have confidence that it's going to do like this really like a number that's really cool, that I'm going to give away a lot of money to people. Like, just have fun with it. We might give like $500 to 5 people, or you know what I'm saying? Like something like that. Like, I'm going to be super grateful at what it did. And so we might as well have some fun with it and things like that. And I could give away other Malibu Suns and things too, but I look forward to celebrating that it did something crazy as if it weren't my book and because it is my book. So
Well,
let's follow it along. Yeah.
Well, we'll have one more show before it ends up selling. We'll
Dang.
probably talk about it. I mean, I highlight it in general within this topic because again, I'm pointing to this idea of like we've been getting these world record sales. The auction circuit is about to start, and there's a lot of stuff coming out, and it's going to tell us a lot. I think of like where this year is going. Even when you have books like yours, PSA 10s and stuff like that. Even outside of it being your book, what is the PSA 10 going to get, in this market now? So just a lot of interesting conversation regardless.
Yeah.
But it's not just comics that are going crazy. We talked about OA having a crazy last 2025, and now we're starting to see a lot of OA coming out again. But guys, I don't know if you saw this post, but this one was out of Comic Connect. The Death of Superman original art is all going up for sale. The entire comic itself, not just the cover. But I guess there was somebody out there who was the original owner of this that owned the entire issue. But look at some of these, iconic splash pages.
I gotta think this is going to be a huge numbers. Like that's going to be hit for these because like maybe we talked about, I can't remember which chat it was in. We talked about this a little bit that when you've got Golden Age or Silver Age or whatever, like original art, you have the original art, but the book itself is, especially in the Golden Age, like the book itself is already rare. And so sometimes like the gap between the price of the art and the highest grade copy isn't that much. Like it can be a decent amount. Maybe it's like 2 or 3 times or something, but with something like this, where you have something that was printed just to the moon, there's just tons and tons of copies out there. And then this is like that one unique thing for it. Like you're going to have a huge number of people that can connect with this item that connect with the book itself that then may have interest in this. And so I imagine that the bidding is probably going to be pretty extreme for those pages. I think there's going to be a lot of demand for it.
So is this a one item? Like you're bidding on all the pages?
I bet it's I bet it's each page individually. I mean, I don't know, but I bet it's each page individually.
So is it the whole book though? Like it's every single page, or is it just certain pages?
The preview in that video that was posted doesn't show the entire book. I made the assumption it's the entire book. Maybe I'm wrong there. I'm not entirely clear.
If it's the entire book, I would think you would almost want to keep that together.
Like I bet it won't. I bet it won't though. But I think if you're looking to maximize your number, I don't think you'd keep it together.
Don't you think it would sell for more as having the entire OA of a single iconic book like that?
At auction, it might be tough because I think there is a version of what you're saying that could be true where, someone would want to own it as an entire issue, but you would think that would have to be kind of like a private deal sort of situation. But like at auction, I feel like that's so risky.
How many people own the entire book OA of any book, period? Full stop.
Someone owns the Jim Lee X-Men one.
Yeah. There's a few people
outside the artist, obviously, but like how many of them have hit the secondary market like that?
Very few, but there's like some really notable collectors that early on got in when things that are worth 10 million now, they paid 100,000 for it, got everything, and people thought they were insane. And now they're sitting on the treasure that everyone wishes they had. There's a few people like that.
That just seems like the most unique of the unique beyond the OA is having the
Tom Fish has the entire Jim Lee one, all the variant covers, and like the pin up from the inside, everything. That's that's Grail. Yeah, Neo, that's your
country with that.
Yeah. If that one ever came up to sale, that I think could be the most expensive OA ever sold. But
man,
the to your point, Neo, about the original art collectors, the entire issue, there's definitely people that do that. A lot of the Absolute Batman one, or not just one, but the Absolute Batman issues that have been coming out, done by Dragoda and stuff, have been being sold or being bought as like complete issues. So there's definitely a market there.
Could you imagine if they sell it page by page and you're trying to put the whole thing together and you get them all and it like comes down to one and it's like the one page someone really, really wants and it just goes insane? or you don't
that's
get
the
it.
gamble,
There's
right?
One that you don't
That's the
get.
gamble,
You have
yeah.
a whole book outside of one page.
I think that a lot of that stuff happens. Like, I think there's, this is the thing. This is why I think the OA world is so opaque and not a lot of people like to talk about that stuff. Because if you let it out there that, let's say that I'm trying to collect all of Darkhawk 1, then I
Someone's
just put
gonna
out
cockblock you.
information. Yeah, then someone's going to cockblock. Yeah, exactly. So,
Exactly.
but
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
that when people find that out, then it definitely is what you're saying, where it's like, oh, I know that Rob needs this page. I'm going to just strong arm him.
Screw
for
that
this one.
guy.
It's like when
Content
Disney
creator.
was buying up land in Florida. I think like there were people that like they try to keep that stuff secret because they know like if somebody finds out that like somebody's looking to pick this stuff up, they'll immediately makes somebody will hold out and they'll try to get more for it.
So, Swag, did you say hawk block? I don't know if you did, but that would have been great.
That's pretty good.
All right.
Get hawk blocked. Well, it's interesting because there's a lot of original art, not just the Death of Superman one, but also at Heritage Auctions that's going up for sale. I want to quickly talk about this, and maybe we can have a conversation. We did our show that was the kickoff for 2026, where we talked about our biggest winners and losers. And one of my crazy, wild, bold predictions was that I thought that Frazetta and McFarlane OA buyers in 2025 were going to be losers
Yeah, what
because
the
of the
heck?
2026 market. It's just a wild prediction, but it is interesting because we have the Vampirella Frank Frazetta cover that's coming up. It's currently at 160,000. I don't know what the estimates are for this, but there's a lot of Frank Frazetta pieces that are in this OA showcase, and there's a lot of Todd McFarlane OAs as well that is in this one. In fact, if I just do a Control F, yeah, we have it's telling me 8 right here, but I think that there might be 10 original arts for Todd McFarlane, and I don't know. Does the
That
market
is one of the coolest
have the money?
pages
Dude,
that
that's
I've seen.
so good,
So good,
looking,
right?
bro.
So good, so good, so good. I know.
Like,
I know.
like if that doesn't set the record for a page, I'll be disappointed.
And is it coming with the colors as well? Is that what we see at the bottom? Like it's giving you the like the other
Yeah.
production elements, the colors as well?
Looks like it's the
I have
color
not looked
guide
into the
and
details
Yeah.
of that one.
Okay.
a page pulled out. So this is from Spider-Man number 9, splash page 11, and
Damn,
it looks
that's
like
so
maybe there's a
sick.
color outline or color guide for it coming with it. But yeah,
So,
anyways, a lot of Todd McFarlane pieces coming out.
Yeah, there are.
I don't follow this space super close. Are like current day all digital artists like looking around going like, I gotta put a piece of I gotta put a pen on a fucking piece of paper.
Yeah, right.
Because like I'm just leaving money on the table at this point. Like even if you're an all digital artist, you have to be
I
like,
know.
am I
think we
dumb for
talked
not
about
doing
this some, but I know like at least some of them they do like an exclusive like where they promise like it's a one of one print, but like you've got to wonder how much money they worry, like especially if you're an artist that's blowing up, like there are some artists right now that are getting some, like, is it Dragotta that did the Absolute Batman 16? It's like a Wonder Woman and Batman cover that's in, I think, that Heritage auction.
It's not Dragotta. It's another artist who is kind of blowing up as being that next guy. He does oil paintings, and
Okay.
that cover's going to go crazy.
Yeah, that one is going to go bananas. And it's like, but those artists, like, they're absolutely leaving huge amounts of money on the table if they aren't putting something out.
Yeah, it is definitely, to answer your question, Rob, it's definitely something that a lot of digital artists, I think, have to consider and think about.
Quintana, that's right. That's who it is.
Yeah.
Thanks, Derek.
Dan Quintana, yeah. Well, that was my bold prediction, and I just was trying to be a little bit petty, just to say that, hey, there's a lot of Todd McFarlane pieces out here. Maybe there's going to be some people that can't buy all of them. Obviously, that splash page is going to go for a lot, but we'll see how the market performs. Maybe I'm going to eat a lot of crow, but someone who I don't know is going to eat crow with their prediction over here, Ryan, in our pettiness segment, is going to be now our official Absolute Batman 1 check-in segment of the show. Shout out to Aaron, Josh's comics. I have just a couple of posts I wanted to highlight from his. I love you, Aaron, but this is going to set us up nicely with our conversation. He said,
"You're going to make me insult Aaron on this live stream."
No, just I'm setting it
This
up.
is
I'm
what I
setting up.
logged in for.
The Absolute Batman 1 is crushing every week. Narrative is lazy and wrong. Short-term noise isn't the story. Let's see how it performs over an entire year before pretending the verdict is in. And then he shared a $400 sale for Absolute Batman 1 in January. Later on, he posted, "You all know I'm a huge Absolute Batman fan, but a CGC 85 of issue 1 is selling for $255 is insane. Even I think that's nuts. That's way more, that's way too much money for a non-9.8 book." And, you know, maybe there's some people that are starting to think that, hey, you know, maybe there is some weakness in the Absolute Batman market, at least at the 9.8 grade, maybe not at the 8.5 grade. But as we kind of check in on the recent Absolute Batman prices, we're kind of seeing, you know, more of a 30-day average around 365 right here, 350, 359, 360. This is different than at the top of the year where we were at 400. But Ryan, why don't you chime in on this? How are we feeling about our Absolute Batman prediction these days?
I mean, right now, yeah, it has done, you know, like a bit of a correction, but it has leveled off around like 360 for the last couple weeks. So it's come down from that peak of a little over 400, level off around 360. And obviously, and the prediction was for the year, right? So we're going to revisit this at the end of the year, but I'm absolutely, I guess I'm tracking this right now. And I think, to me, still the biggest element of it is that 9.8 census is blowing up. And I was talking with one of the pressers that I use, and he was saying that, like, outside of Invincible, the modern market, like in terms of what he'd been being sent, was just absolutely like dead for spec. Like he was not getting anything until Absolute Batman. And it's just like he is getting tons and tons of Absolute Batman sent in.
Well, let me set you up with your alt account right here, which was this post done by Sean Steiner, not Automatic Comics, guys.
That's right.
Wink,
That's
wink. Right. I started tracking the totals December 31st, not to be negative, but out of general curiosity, I wonder if it will hit 6K this year. So December 31st, it was at 2745.
And that's just the universals. That's not the signed, which there are another like 600 or more signed copies.
What's CGC's turnaround time right now on Modern?
It's pretty quick. Like it's
a month.
It's about a month. Yeah, it's about a month.
Yeah. Important to point out. So yeah, jumped up to 2,900. Then late in January, 3,300. Early February, 3,363. Where we are today, if Go Collect is correct right here, it says 3,700 universals, 3,480 of which are 9.8. So already up another 100.
So every single one is a 9.8, except that 185 that sold. Maybe that's why it sold for so much, because it's the only rare one.
They're getting, I think it's about 90 or 95% 9.8s.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it is
94.1%.
Listen, if somebody if somebody gets a 0.5, I want it.
I mean, you could just tear the back cover.
We can make that happen for you.
Well, someone's going to have to do it. Someone's going to have to voluntarily remove the value from it, and I'll take the 0.5. But
But yeah, I mean, that's like, I think, like in terms of total 9.8s by the end of the year, it's going to blow past 600 or 6,000. Like it's adding over 100 a week. You know, like at that rate, that would be like, assuming that holds up, which it might not. That'd be another 5,000 just this year. And it's more than 100 per week. So yeah, I mean, like with prices at what they are, it's just too easy of money, you know, for the people that bought them all at the beginning. Like that's the challenge with it. It's too easy of money. And I mean, yeah, and again, I don't think it's going back to $100. Like I said, I think, would I be surprised if it dips below 300 down to maybe 250? Not at all. I think that's very, very possible. But also, and I've said this before, like, I don't care how adults spend their money. Like, people are welcome to spend their money however they want. I just, you know, people called me stupid when I said it was gonna correct this year. And so I have become petty about it. And so I keep watching it.
It's such a funny conversation because people are so passionate about it. And I don't think that they can hear sort of a pragmatic take on how the collectible market works and separate that from the quality of the book itself and the content and people's love for it. That's not what you're saying, you know, but people just get so mad about that.
But like with the jokes about the alt accounts, like that's been the kind of the interesting thing is that I've been seeing over the last like week or two, like people regularly posting things like that, where they're like, oh, do you think this, instead of like the hype of it going up, they're like, are you worried about this? Or do you think it's going to drop? And it's like, and I pasted in, I was like, here's my 15th alt account, you know? And so it's just like, it's people are definitely starting to wonder because once a book starts to show some cracks, it's just like any collectible. Like once you start to see some cracks in it, the sellers all start coming out and they start dumping. And so you just wonder when, you know, when what's going to happen to it when that happens.
Yeah. Well, everybody has been waiting for us to get to our most important segment of the night, which is, of course, the One Piece segment of the show. We had this post out of Collectors Club X that said, card show owner bans One Piece from being sold. Rob, why would you not want to get free money?
Some people just don't like anime boobs, I guess. I don't know.
Can you unpack the story for us? You did a video on your TCG channel. What's going on with this guy and One Piece and his shows, and how did the One Piece crowd feel about this one?
I mean, first off, it's the guy's show. He can set whatever rules that he wants for it. That's his right to do that. Essentially, he wanted to run, his words, a family-friendly show. And he specifically called out that he thinks that One Piece is popular because a lot of the girls have large breasts, and he didn't want that kind of stuff at a show, which is perfectly fine. My take is where do you draw the line? Because there's a lot of, I'll give a good example of WWE cards. There's a lot of scantily clad actual real women, not animated, that have very revealing clothing on. Are you going to allow those? Like there's a lot of different angles of, you know, where do you draw the line on this that gets a little confusing. You know, are you allowed to sell male One Piece cards, just not female one? You know, you can really get into the weeds on this one if you want to.
What was the sentiment within the comment section of the video that you did and talked about this? Like, were people like upset about it, or were they like understanding of his choice?
No one was really upset. I think it came back to one of two things of like, hey, it's his show. If he wants to do that, that's fine. I don't, like, a lot of people were like, I don't agree with it. But I think the main talking point is where do you draw that line? Like, if you're going to do this, then, you know, some people were like, so if it's the summertime and a girl walks into your show in a revealing top, is she not allowed in? You could start going down the rabbit holes.
Did Ryan or many of you guys have any thoughts on One Piece these days? I guess it doesn't have to be about this specific story, but we can make this the official One Piece segment if you have other One Piece thoughts.
I mean, I saw a lot of comments. People were telling him he needs to go watch the anime and all this kind of stuff. Like, I mean, a lot of people like to tell other people what they're allowed to do. And I mean, like I said, like, it's his show. He can do whatever he wants. It's like, it's one card show. It's not the end of the world if somebody doesn't want certain cards sold at it. But yeah, like Neo said, like it becomes a very gray a weird area to be. It's just, I almost feel like he's kind of like, because he's done it now, he kind of feel like he feels like he has to dig in even if he doesn't really want to. And I don't know if that's the case. I don't know him, anything, but it's just, now it just kind of feels like he's not going to go against it because he's said it. And now he feels like he has to stick to that. But yeah, I mean, yeah, there, like Neo said, like there's a lot of real people cards. Yeah.
So this is okay.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of like real people cards that would, you'd think like that would be like worse than animated, but
yeah.
I mean, I'm more interested in I'm a little more interested in like what's the next, like, it's crazy, like the turnover we're getting in TCG now, how like Dragon Ball has now blown up as like the next like huge thing that people are pushing. So like, is One Piece going to stay up there like along with it, or are people all now immediately like, well, you got to move into the next thing, And so, and what's the thing after that? Like, what's after Dragon Ball? Is it Yu-Gi-Oh coming back again because they're now going to be doing like serialized cards and all this kind of stuff? Is that going to be
the next thing? Is obviously League of Legends Riftbound. Everybody knows that. Exactly. I've been saying on this show for so long that's the one that you should buy. Actually, they're Yeah, they're going to be getting another drop soon. But I don't know, Manu, do you have any thoughts on this or One Piece or?
What's your take on animated boobs, Manu?
I'm fine without them. Yeah, I don't own any. I don't think. Yeah. Um no, I can see where he's coming from, right? I think he said that he had like a lot of kids at his show or whatever, right? He's got his reason. He's got his right to do whatever. Like I can respect his opinion. I don't look at I don't Man, it's just I don't know what's going on with One Piece. I don't even want to speak on it. I'm excited for the people that are excited about it. I have no connection with it. I only learned about it last 2 weeks ago from you guys. I've heard the One Piece thing being said and talked about, but I didn't know that it had this 12,000 episode history. I didn't know it goes back into the 90s. I didn't know it was anime, boobs, right? Like I didn't know any of this stuff and. I don't care. So that's my
It's not
opinion on
just
it.
anime boobs, guys. There's other stuff that people are into, right?
They're
like that
pirates
one.
fighting
What?
against the evil world government.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
that is the show.
Flag,
It's
could
about
you
friendship. It's the friends they made along the way.
where would Magic the Gathering be at right now if they leaned a little bit more into this and didn't get so soft in their they used to have a lot racier artwork back in the day, and
Yeah.
they made a big pivot like 5-10 years ago to kind of lean away from that, and I feel like there's a weird what if there.
Yeah, I do think that there's an interesting thing where, when you become a IP and you get bigger and bigger and bigger, your growth in theory is to like sell to the wider general audiences. And as you expand out to those general audiences, then you have to be more PG for those audiences because now you're involving like families and kids and things of that nature. But sometimes that can hurt a lot of those IPs because they're not like doubling down on what the brunt of their audience actually wants. To answer your question, yeah, I think that there's probably a world where, if Magic really pushed some of the more risky art, like not even in just like their, the scantily clad women or guys or whatever like that, but even just like, they've kind of shied away from doing a lot of like demonic art type of stuff, where they would like used to have a lot of like
violence or like blood.
yeah,
It
violence
used to
or
be
gory
way,
stuff. Yeah,
way
you look at like
crazier.
some of those like some of those alpha cards and beta cards, like there was definitely like a lot of like more risky like
Just literally a
pentagrams and things like
pentagram
that.
on unholy
Yeah.
string.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I mean, it is interesting because I have to say, like, remember, like we were at New York Comic Con, and like sometimes you walk around like New York or San Diego, and you just see like these booths where there's just like udon set up
Yeah.
selling like variant covers of like hot
Fully naked.
animated girls everywhere. And they're just like these massive signs. And you're just like, dude, this is wild. But at the same time, how can you complain with the lines that they're getting? So
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
was
it
gonna
does,
ask,
yeah.
has this
That's
ever
the thing.
happened?
Like that's crazy. Like at New York Comic Con, there's like nude variants like everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, all over the place. Like it's so much more extreme than anything like this.
I mean,
That's what I was
think
going to ask. Has
just
this ever
be-
come up at Comic Cons before? Where like Comic Cons are like, no, you're not allowed to sell this certain stuff, or you have to hide it, or whatever.
that's a good question. I haven't heard that, but I have to say that my last New York trip, my takeaway was I was like, whoa, this is
Yeah,
There's
we
a
were
lot
literally
of it,
walking
all of a
around
sudden.
together, being
Yeah.
like, "What? Like that's just like out for
Yeah.
anyone to see." And it's just like a
Yeah.
full blown, not even like a girl in a swimsuit.
but
So is
it
that-
hasn't really been a conversation,
So is that like why this guy's statement caught on because it's so unusual because sex in collectibles is so widely and for a long time accepted and more blatant year after year that everyone's kind of numb to it. And it's like, well, duh, we know this happens. We know there's nudie books. We know there's this. We know there's that. And so this one guy stepping out saying, no, that's what's odd about it. What's odd is not the boobs. What's odd is someone saying, I don't want that in my show. And it's like, where you been? And these are what shows are now. That's why I caught on, right?
Well, that is an interesting thing because I mean, there is a rich history of like kind of pornographic material within the comic book art world that like exists since like the 40s and 50s. So there, maybe it is a little bit more just like in the culture that it does kind of exist. And I mean, I mean, guys, we
Yeah,
grew
like,
up on Jim Lee
look at
Jim
stuff
Lee
that, like,
drawing
Wally
Skywalker.
Wood.
Yeah,
you know?
come on. Gen 13. You guys remember, why were we buying
Yeah.
Gen 13? I mean, come on.
But I mean, like,
yeah.
there's like a lot of the like, there's a lot of stuff by who were relatively mainstream artists. Like I said, like Wally Wood, like there's a lot of like nude art back in that period, and and things like whether it was in Mad magazine and some of the interior stuff, or it was maybe they did pieces for like Playboy magazine or whatever else. Like there's a lot of like mainstream artists that's how they paid their bills at some point.
Yeah.
Well, you know what, Rob, this is an interesting, conversation, because herein is sort of the intersection of TCG cards and now sports cards. And there is a little bit of like this is different now. Like these two things have a little bit of friction. And I've been kind of seeing, a lot of people with the reels where it's like me showing up to a sports card show and it's like 95% Pokemon now,
Yeah. I wonder if this is also one of those things where like the comic book side is actually ahead of the card side. Of like the comic book world is way more used to this kind of stuff. So you like they're just kind of like, oh, okay, cool. It's like a girl in a animated bathing suit. Whereas, people bringing their kid, their 5-year-old to go look at a Jose Canseco card is like, whoa, what is that doing in there?
Yeah, exactly. J. Scott Campbell, man. Come on. Like, hello.
Yeah, the guy built an empire.
Yeah. Ain't nobody mad at it.
Nami banned, but J. Scott Campbell, welcome.
Exactly, right. Interesting.
Well, luckily, not all TCGs are pornographic or risky in their materials. We do also have some, like Pokemon, that are family friendly. And speaking of Pokemon, guys, this is going to be our last show until we get the sale of the Logan Paul Pikachu Illustrator card that is on Golden Auctions. They are having a mega live stream for this where you can buy in, or I guess they already did do their buy-in sales to, speaking of breaking, people that are going to open up an original box of the Pokemon set. They raised $1.4 million for this buy-in, which is a crazy amount per pack if you guys do the math.
It's insane.
But again, we already had the conversation about breaking, why people do it. They're paying more than they have to, but I guess they want to be a part of the show, part of the moment. And speaking of that moment, we're currently sitting at $6.324 million. So it is going to break the record. Do you guys have any final predictions of what this card is going to sell for come next week?
What's it at right now? 6.3, you said? Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I had said, I think 7 back when we first talked about it. I mean, it'll probably do more than that, but it's still under that at least. So I'll stick with, for some reason I had thought it had gotten above that, but I guess not. Maybe there was something else I had heard, just like talk about it. But yeah, I mean, I'll stick with 7. I still think the crazier thing is that break, that first edition break, like 1.4 million.
This is pretty wild
for 36 packs.
Do you want to expand on that? Because I think it's like the pack rate is like what? It's like 40 grand a pack, which is like higher than what you could actually buy it for.
It's even more than what his last one was. I think his last one was like 25,000 a pack or something that he did like during the absolute peak banana insane, boom period. And so the fact that this one is even higher than that because I don't think they were selling for this much in that break. I don't know if it even broke 1 million.
Have they said in the listing if they CT scan this box or not? Because Golden does.
That was
with
my
CT
comment.
scanning
Is
company to verify that the contents are authentic.
He didn't say anything in this. I don't
know.
It
would be on the actual listing page, probably.
Okay, let me browse around. And Manu, what were you going to say?
Thanks. I know you guys love this Pokemon card, and we're talking about auctions. And I'm assuming, I don't know this. I'm assuming it's someone who's watching, who's in the chat. I want to say thank you. Another bid has come in on the Malibu Sun. It's now at a hammer. It's at a bid of 5,500, and with the buyer's premium, that's 6,710.
We'll take our 10%.
Listen, let's get this thing to where it needs to go. This is a long way to go. This is basically, But if that was someone in the chat, I think that's really cool and that's really fun, and I appreciate it. That's fun.
Is this what you're talking about here? There's this original box. I don't know if the breaker thing
is
lots.
I mean, that says the listing right there, though. X-ray.
It is a box, but he did a break, whatever it was 5 years ago that he charged, like he did a whole live break and people paid to have their name, read on the live stream and everything. And that's where the meme of the like $30,000 Bulbasaur or whatever it was, like came out, because like the guy that they had as their like expert was like, oh, that card's $30,000, and it's not anywhere near that. And so everybody made fun of that for like 2 years. But like but that's the thing. Like those packs typically, like when I watch like man, what's his name? I can't remember his name. It's not Pokerev, but oh well, someone will probably say it in the chat. One of the other big Pokemon over, like he was at the one where they opened the box and it was fake. But when he talks about like a sealed pack that he opens, like a heavy pack, he's like, this is like a $12,000 pack, and that's a pack that is guaranteed to have a holo. And these people are paying like 4x that when you may not even have, like you have a, what is it? It's a 1 in 3 chance. I think there's usually 12 holos. I think it's like 12 holos in a box. And so like you have like a 1 in 3 chance, and you're paying, you're effectively paying many, many times more than even what that pack is worth. And so, yeah, I get it. It's like, it's to have your name read out loud and all that stuff, but it's wild what people are paying for that.
They should buy Malibu Sun PSA 10. Yes.
What a show over here, Rob, do you have any thoughts on?
I'm sorry, I was just saying, it's also just because like your likelihood of hitting a 10, even if you get like the Charizard, your likelihood of it being a 10 is so small. It's much more likely it's going to be an 8, something like that. What's that?
Not if Ken's submitting it for you.
I'm not. Mark this time for when Neo gets.
I want to say
segment.
I love what Ken and Logan are doing. Like, I love how hard they're going, how much marketing's going in it. If someone wants to pay, let them pay, and let these guys.
Adults can pay what they want to pay.
Let these guys excite the world as much as they can. But what was hilarious, and I say this with love, I say this out of a place of it was comedic to me, is I saw a reel where I think Ken had presented Logan with like the re-encapsulated card, and the way Logan was like glazing how beautiful it looked and the new encapsulation, and how I didn't realize how screwed up my old case was. This is amazing. As if that were, supposed to justify another $5 million in bidding or something like that. I thought that was hilarious. So this thing being acted up, and the way that it's just a show. It's a show, and the whole thing is a show. And these are real life characters. Logan Paul's a real life character. Ken's a real life character. And whoever's buying into it, more power to them. Have fun. If you got 10 million for a card, I hope you got 120 million behind you. So fuck it. I think it's interesting as hell. I got to learn some things about marketing from them, because it's working.
Yeah. Well, we'll definitely check back in on the next show and see what it ends up going for. I'm a moon boy. I think it's going to sell for $50 million.
Fuck it.
Call it conservative.
Yeah.
But shout out here to Amazing Pop Culture Podcast for the $4.99. They say, your thoughts, OA being promoted by some online influencers to create buzz to keep comics going, and also making some OA worth more than it would be. I guess the question is, are your thoughts on sort of the online influencer space kind of promoting OA and comics and, making it feel like, oh, you got to get in. This is a hype thing. I mean, do you guys have any thoughts on that? We kind of talked a little bit about influencer
modern
culture.
Game. It's the modern game.
Bye.
I think it kind of has to happen. I think there has to be a little bit of making sure the communication keeps going. If I don't know, maybe it could happen naturally too. Like, real quick before we sign off, what is a segment in Collectibles that has value and has liquidity that isn't discussed on any sort of like public or commercial sort of level? Like, is there something that just exists on its own in its community, continues to trade and continues to go up in value without anyone having to hype it or anything like that? Is there something like
Coins
was the first one that popped into my head too. That's weird.
I would say like really high end, like really high end art community. I don't feel like they're out there like pumping. I mean, you've got like Christie's auctions and stuff, but it's
I think they probably are. It's just not in the rooms that we're sitting in. I think it's just all the audience.
That could
be.
Well,
like they have,
if you go to some private rich guy club, they might be sitting around talking about like basically doing like a social media pump on high end artwork,
like that Michelangelo foot.
yeah. Well, Ryan, that's to your point, Ryan. Though it's like it does feel like Christie's and even Sotheby's like they start to get into the social media game too. Like their branding is a little more like professional, buttoned up, black
But they are
tie,
in here
that
though.
kind of thing. But they're in social media.
They
They
are.
got
They're-
their own game
Those
going on.
press releases go out. They just go out to publications that we may not get every month, right? Or something like that. There's the Rob reports. There's the this and the that. I don't know what still is, but I remember flipping through those things at Barnes and Noble back in the day.
Yeah.
And Kilted here said stamps, but I think stamps. I think I know this because of our friend Sean at Reserved Investments. Stamps is not as popular because there's no younger audience that's getting into stamps. So it's kind of like, just kind of dwindling, right? But coins in its historical significance instill its relevance today as currency. Currency is current. Who the fuck is putting a stamp
Coin
on something
collectors
these days?
are I'd say coin collectors are older than comic collectors, though.
But what I'm saying
Coins
is,
are aged.
I understand, but what I'm saying is it's a currency, and currency is still a notion that exists. Stamps is hardly a notion that even exists now. Like, I don't
You're
put
right.
stamps on stuff, but I do pay for things, right? And so the history of money is in those coins. It's almost a precious metal. It's almost a historical artifact. It kind of feels like it's going to stand the test of time. Even if everything goes digital, physical currency just becomes more cool as a result. And I don't think it has anything to do with age. I think every age bracket can be educated to currency and become excited about a $5,000 bill or something like that. Because those used to exist at one point in time.
I mean, coins is real money, and we didn't do a segment about gold and silver having its run up. We thought
Next
that maybe it would actually be worth having a conversation about. Maybe we'll do it on another show. But David here with the 499 says, Neo, might you go to West Coast Card Show? Can people come up and say hello?
People can always come up and say hello. That's no problem at all. I probably won't be at the West Coast Card Show this year. I was booking out like shows and travel at the end of last year for this upcoming year, and the calendar gets full very quickly.
Yeah. He's also got another one here for the 499. Neo, could you see PSA Collectors Universe move headquarters to Texas for business tax reasons? Beckett HQ, Plano, Texas.
I don't think so. They've invested a ton of money into that California campus, which actually you and Manu could probably speak to more than anybody else because you guys
amazing.
Have been there.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah. I think one of the things that is one of the biggest advantages of being in places like California and New York, at least for right now, and we don't have to make this a whole thing, but like in California, you just have a bigger pool of people who you can hire from. So that's one of the biggest aspects of them probably wanting to stay out there, is that it's a resource thing for them as being such a big company. But gentlemen, that is going to be the end of our show tonight. It was an incredible show. Lots of craziness going on in the collectible world. I want to say thank you to everybody in the chat who hung out with us. And if you could, remember to hop over to our YouTube channel, the Ungraded Truth Podcast, the #1 collectible show in the world. Also, hop over to our Spotify page. I do some edits after the live stream. I mean, you guys are here, we're kind of feeling it out. Sometimes we step on each other's lines. We have a little bit of a hiccup. We have a laugh, things like that. I tighten it up. If you're somebody who's, impatient out there and you're like, oh, I hate it when Swag has to clear his throat, I make those edits for you and I put it on Spotify. So if you want that clean listen, you can go over there and listen to us. And maybe you could be our 10th 5-star review. But gentlemen, another great show, another crazy world of collecting. Any final words for the people in the chat?
It's always fun hanging out. Always appreciate all the comments. It gives us, when people are active in the comments, it gives us things to talk about in here too. So yeah, really appreciate it.
Yeah, so I'll continue to read them because these guys won't. I'm just joking. I'm sorry. I love you all. I'm just playing.
Will Mr. Beast break Whatnot tomorrow? He is live streaming on Whatnot tomorrow afternoon for the Super Bowl.
Wow.
It is absolutely going to break down. Oh, Rob, I wanted to ask you that. Any interesting little Super Bowl predictions here? Who you got? Sports card collector. Seahawks. Anyone else got skin in the game for this? Should I buy Sam Darnold cards? Are Sam Darnold cards going to go up in value?
They're actually a little undervalued right now. They're a little cheap compared to.
I want to have a little sports conversation. I don't know anything about it, but the Super Bowl's in my backyard, and I was in San Jose yesterday, and there was a lot of Seahawks. I saw only Seahawks jerseys. I didn't see Patriots jerseys. Why is that?
It's a lot easier to get from Seattle to California than New England to California.
Well, there's that answer. You can count on Neo to not excite me with the answer, damn it. That's practical as it can get, isn't it? But that's probably the reason. I wondered why. Okay, there you go.
Yeah. Do football
Patriots, you know,
cards
they're
go?
just they've won so many. It's like it's old hat
Yeah.
for them, you know.
He said, some old ball guy says, because we ain't going out there. That was Neo's answer. There you go. That's exactly why. Hey, DM me if you really want the link. I don't know. Oh, I guess it is in the chat. Oh, wow. Okay, thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
Well, we'll have to get back in after the Super Bowl. We'll do a market report. You know, I don't know if football cards go to zero after the season. Nobody cares about them anymore. But maybe Sam Darnold will go to the moon. But until then, we're all going to the moon. Thanks everybody for hanging out. Thanks to the guys on the panel. Links to all their socials in the description. Go give them a sub. Go give them a follow. And we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Detective Comics set a record for 1.8 million. Nobody really cares.
Who are annoyed that people are asking them questions, is this book banned? That question didn't exist a year ago.
Somebody's submitting like 25 vintage books and getting 15 9.9s.
We always think, how could it ever get crazier? And then it always does.